Chapter 3192. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Qin Batian slapped his head. This method is feasible. Anyway, there are no outsiders in the Black Tortoise realm. We don't have to be like those people from the Demon Palace and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, guarding against each other, afraid that others will steal our skills. Lu Zhongyang nodded. That's right. Everyone here is on the same side. There's no need to be selfish. Experienced people like you can teach all you know in the exchange. As for how much you can comprehend in the end, it depends on your luck. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay. When we go back, we'll organize it. Qin Batian nodded. Of course, it was urgent to do something that was beneficial to everyone. Then I'll send you back, but I can't go back for the time being. I have to keep an eye on that black python. Qin Feiyang said. Black python? The two were stunned. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation. So that's how it is. Okay, we'll arrange the exchange. When the time comes, you just have to take some time to explain it. Qin Batian smiled. Qin Feiyang was stunned and smiled. There's no need for me to show off in front of an expert. Show off in front of an expert? You brat, are you mocking us? If someone who comprehended 7 types of law is called showing off in front of an expert, then what are we? The two couldn't help but roll their eyes. Okay, let me know when the time comes. Qin Feiyang nodded. After sending the two back to the demon land, Qin Feiyang returned to the western region and continued to watch the black python. After Qin Batian and Lu Zhongyang returned, they also actively organized the exchange. Hearing that there was going to be an exchange, everyone was naturally very happy, especially the 54 divine generals. They were born to fight, and they couldn't wait to comprehend 5 or 6 types of law like Qin Feiyang. This way, his strength would be even stronger in the future. After 2 days of arrangements, everyone was ready, and those who went out all rushed back. That was because there were many people who did not choose to shut themselves behind closed doors. Instead, they chose to go out and take a look. That way, they would be able to gain more. In the castle hall, it could accommodate hundreds of people. At this moment, everyone was sitting in the castle. The leaders were Lu Zhongyang and Qin Batian. Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, Dong Zhongyang, Ancestor Mo, Long Qianyu, Wang Xiaojie, Qin Chan, and even Zhuo Xiaoxian and Zhuo Xiaoqing were there. Pai Lupi Theta Wang come in too. Qin Batian looked outside the door and saw Pai Lupi and Li Du looking like they wanted to go in but didn't dare to. He couldn't help but laugh. Hearing this, the two asked, "Can we?" "Of course you can. We're all on the same side. Are you still shy?" The big black wolf stared at him speechlessly. Thank you, thank you." The two apologized profusely and hurriedly ran in. "There's still Brother Wolf. He didn't come out," Dan Wangkai suddenly said. "Don't worry about him." Madman waved his hand. If this wolf cub was interested, he would have come out by himself. But now it was clearly not interested at all. All right then. Qin Batian smiled and looked at Fire Lotus. Inform Feiyang. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Because she was a special existence in the Black Tortoise world. She was the same as Qin Feiyang. She could spy on any place in the Black Tortoise world and communicate with anyone in secret, no matter how far away they were. Whoosh! After receiving Fire Lotus's notification, Qin Feiyang quickly appeared in the castle. Since everyone is here, I'll start first. The so-called spacetime law is to borrow the power of spacetime. Since young, the power of spacetime can be turned into powerful weapons. In general, the power of spacetime can allow you to travel through the present, the future, and the past. Qin Batian smiled slightly and stood up. He slowly explained his understanding of the spacetime law. Everyone present listened attentively. Not a single person was distracted, afraid that they would miss a single word. Qin Feiyang was the same. Although he currently grasped 7 types of laws, who would complain about having too many of them? Especially the spacetime law, the nothingness law, the life law, the death law, and so on. If he could comprehend all of these extremely powerful laws, and even comprehend the ultimate profound meaning, then who would be his match? After half a day, Qin Batian finally finished. Everyone lowered their heads and fell into deep thought. For a time, the castle was dead silent. After about a few hundred breaths, Qin Feiyang was the first to wake up. Looking at the others, he transmitted his voice to Qin Batian. Ancestor, It seems that this requires a digestive process. Why don't we continue tomorrow? Think so too. Qin Batian nodded and said inwardly, what about you? How much did you comprehend? To be honest, with the time bomb that is the black python in the black tortoise world, I'm not in the mood to think about these things. Qin Feiyong smiled helplessly. He was worried that the black python would take advantage of his absence to run to the east, south, and north regions. Everyone in the Devil Lands knew about the origin of the black python, but the other creatures in the black tortoise world did not. They would definitely not be on guard against it. If the black python were to inquire about his origin and the black tortoise world's real situation, it would be bad. Alright, you go and keep an eye on it. You don't need to come tomorrow. I will record the content and process of everyone's explanation. You can take your time to look at it in the future. Qin Batian said. Alright. Qin Feiyong nodded and returned to the west region, continuing to keep an eye on the black python. Now that the black python was fusing with the ancestral dragon's divine body, it should not run around. However, no one knew when it would succeed in the fusion. If Qin Feiyong succeeded in the fusion when he returned to the Devil's Land, then he would have nothing to do. The black python would definitely run out to wander around, so it was better to keep an eye on it. Time flew by. 2 months passed. On this day, an aura suddenly emerged from the black python's body. Qin Feiyong immediately opened his eyes and looked at the black python with a hint of joy in his eyes. Because the black python's aura carried a trace of dragon's might. Although it was not obvious, it meant that his method was indeed feasible. He made a prompt decision. He integrated his divine sense into the black python's body and found that a trace of divine dragon's bloodline power was successfully born in the black python's bloodline. And this was a seed. At the same time, the black python opened its eyes and discovered the power of the divine dragon's bloodline. It was also extremely excited. Don't be happy too early. This is only the first step. The rest will depend on your own efforts. Qin Feiyong said. To be able to take this first step, this emperor is already very happy. Human, thank you so much. The black python said excitedly. No need to thank me. I have my reasons for helping you. As long as you can transform as soon as possible, that will be the best reward for me. Qin Feiyong said with a smile. What's the reason? The black python was suspicious. I want to use your heavenly tribulation to comprehend the fifth profundity of the law of thunder. Qin Feiyong did not hide it. I see. It seems that this is the reason why the Rogue Cultivator Alliance is looking for us everywhere. The black python came to a realization and said, in that case, this emperor is quite at a disadvantage. What disadvantage? Qin Feiyong frowned. To help you comprehend the fifth profundity and serve you for 100 million years. If this isn't a disadvantage, then what is? The black python pouted. Cut it out. Without me, do you have a chance to transform into a divine dragon? Besides, are you confident that you can pass the tribulation successfully? At that time, I will still have to help you. In short, this matter won't do you any harm. You just have to listen to my arrangements. Qin Feiyong said. Alright. The black python nodded. Just as Qin Feiyong was about to speak, Fire Lotus's voice suddenly rang in his mind. Qin Dage, you're the only one left. When are you going to return to the Devil's Land? I'm the only one left? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Everyone is waiting for you. Fire Lotus replied. Alright, I'll be there in a moment. Qin Feiyong replied and looked at the black python. There's something I have to tell you, and you have to help me keep it a secret. What is it? The black python was suspicious. This spatial divine item of mine has a time array, and it lasts for 1,000 years in a day. Qin Feiyong said. What? You actually have a time array that lasts for 1,000 years in a day? The black python was shocked. Yes, this is my secret. You must not leak it. Otherwise, I won't help you pass your tribulation. Qin Feiyong said. That's easy. Don't worry, this emperor will definitely keep it a secret. The black python snickered. Why do I find it so hard to believe? Qin Feiyong frowned. You have to trust this emperor. Although this emperor isn't a good person, although I'm not a good person, I still know how to repay kindness. Besides, I still have to cultivate here, right? With this time array, this emperor will be able to transform even faster. The black python smiled flatteringly. At least you still have some conscience. How about this? I have something to deal with. You go out first, I'll bring you in later. Qin Feiyang said. Anyway, after the black python left the black tortoise world, it would connect this point. So, he might as well take the initiative to say it and keep it a secret in advance. All right. The black python nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the black python immediately appeared outside. It's out. How is it? Huoluan and the other beasts immediately surrounded it. The black python was silent. It looked around and asked, How long has it been? About 10 days. Huoluan said. 10 days? The black python was stunned. There was actually a time array. This human kid wasn't simple. Say it, how is it? Huoluan urged. Feel it yourselves. The black python released a wisp of aura. This is dragon's might. You succeeded. The group of beasts was dumbfounded. Don't be like this, it's just the first step. The black python said humbly, but its expression was full of pride. Since he succeeded in the first step, he's not far from the second step. How did he do it? Huoluan asked. Well, it's a secret. The black python chuckled. Huoluan stared at it angrily. The other beasts also had a look of displeasure. This arrogant look, they really wanted to kick it. At the same time, their hearts were also burning with passion. Since this Mo Yuan could make this guy transform, it would definitely be able to make them transform too. They were looking forward to it. Chapter 3193. Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang still couldn't trust the black python. After all, they had just met. Moreover, the character of a beast was unpredictable. Therefore, he had been observing. With his strength, even if the black python didn't keep its promise and leaked the time array, he couldn't do anything to it. However, he could at least interrupt it at the critical moment. Fortunately, it was a very honest guy. Later, Qin Feiyang returned to the Devil's Land. Everyone sat in the hall of the castle waiting. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Then I'll talk about the law of cause and effect first. The so-called cause and effect is retribution after retribution in an endless cycle. To put it more simply, it's a kind of relationship. Whether it's between humans, beasts, or humans, as long as you know each other and meet, there will be a karmic connection. The difference is whether it's more or less. Qin Feiyang didn't have any opening remarks and directly began to explain. In fact, everyone was only interested in the law of cause and effect. This was because the other laws, such as the law of slaughter, the law of thunder, and the law of war, had been explained by these lunatics. As for the law of light, the law of force, and the law of wind, some people had also comprehended them. For example, Wang Ming had comprehended the law of force. Some of the 54 warlords had also comprehended the law of light and the law of wind. Therefore, Qin Feiyang also needed to explain the law of cause and effect. After half a day, Qin Feiyang finally finished explaining without hiding anything. As he and Qin Badian had said, everyone here was on the same side, so there was no need to hide anything. For a moment, everyone was pondering the mystery behind it. Feiyang, I'll send you all the content I've recorded over the past few days. Qin Badian took out the divine voice stone and sent scenes and videos to Qin Feiyang. After that, he fell into deep thought. Qin Feiyang glanced at everyone and got up to leave the castle. First, he didn't want to disturb everyone. Second, he didn't want to be disturbed. Therefore, he found a quiet place and carefully watched the content and videos sent by Qin Badian. Among them, he paid special attention to the laws of space-time, the laws of nothingness, the laws of life, and the laws of time. Because these three laws were the same as the law of karma. They were the strongest laws in the world. Qin Badian, Lu Zhongyang, the Mermaid Princess, and the Fire Lotus explained the four types of laws in great detail. However, even so, it was difficult for him to comprehend. After all, laws were not battle manuals or divine arts. One could understand it with just a little thought. When he finished reading Mad Scientist's explanation, he couldn't help but frown. This guy explained the law of slaughter, the law of lightning, the law of war, and the newly comprehended law of fire. This required a very long time to comprehend. When he finished reading Madman's explanation, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. This guy actually only talked about the law of lightning, the law of slaughter, the law of war, and the newly comprehended law of darkness. As for the law power inherited from the temple, He actually didn't mention a single word. At that time in the temple, what kind of power of law did this guy inherit that made him so secretive? Could it also be an ultimate law? Selfish bastard. Everyone had revealed their powers of law without holding anything back. Only this guy had been hiding something. There was also the white-eyed wolf. From the beginning to the end, he didn't see the white-eyed wolf appear. This little bastard must also be hiding some heaven-defying method. Because at that time, the aura that the white-eyed wolf suddenly emitted made even them feel fear. Moreover, this fear came from the power of their laws. Just think about it, how could something that could threaten the power of laws be ordinary? Definitely not. It was just that the white-eyed wolf had been hiding it, so he had no way to find out. As for forcing it to answer, that was even more impossible. After all, after being together for so many years, he still knew the white-eyed wolf's temper. If it didn't want to say, it would be useless even if you held a knife to its neck. Qin Feiyang shook his head and didn't think about these problems that gave him a headache. He left the black tortoise world and found the black python. Naturally, he couldn't avoid being questioned by the fire luan and the other beasts. However, he merely smiled mysteriously. Then, he brought the enormous black python with him and reappeared in the western region. He continued to stare at it the entire time. Although the black python didn't talk nonsense outside, the real situation in the black tortoise world couldn't be discovered by it. After all, compared to an independent world, a time array was on a completely different level. If the black python knew that this was an independent world, who knew what kind of thoughts it would have, so he had to be careful. Xiaojin, where did this guy go? It's been so many days and he hasn't come back. Could it be that those beasts cut him into pieces? Heavenly Peak. The lady in green stood on the peak and looked at the beasts in the distance, her eyes full of suspicion. What's wrong, Sister Dandan? You haven't seen him for a few days and you're already missing him? Zhao Xiaojin said with a smile. You little girl, what are you talking about? Are you asking for a beating? The lady in green glared at Zhao Xiaojin and snorted. I haven't fought with him yet. Fight? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. Fight with Qin Feiyang? You must be dreaming. However, she definitely wouldn't say that out loud. What's wrong? You don't have confidence in me? The lady in green looked at her unhappily. That's for sure. You know that he has mastered 7 types of law. Among them, the law of thunder and the law of karma have already reached the 4th profound. How are you going to fight with him? Zhao Xiaojin smiled. I'm not stupid. Why do I have to fight with him using law? I still have divine weapons and divine techniques. The lady in green pouted. Divine weapons and divine techniques? Sister Dandan, you have to know that he's the vice leader's disciple. How could he not have divine techniques and divine weapons? Zhao Xiaojin shook her head. This person even has a sovereign divine weapon. In front of a sovereign divine weapon, your divine weapons and divine techniques are just child's play. Xiaojin, why are you always attacking me? Are you still my sister? You're siding with an outsider. Tell me honestly, did he give you any benefits? The lady in green glared at Zhao Xiaojin angrily. Fine, fine, fine. If you don't like to hear the truth, then I'll just say some polite words. Sister, you can do it. He's definitely not your match. I'll go cultivate first. You can continue. After saying that, Zhao Xiaojin fled into her cave residence. Damn girl. The lady in green pouted, then looked at the mountain range and snorted coldly before returning to her cave residence. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. In the black tortoise world, 180,000 years had passed. 1/3 of the black python's bloodline power had evolved into the divine dragon's bloodline power. Moreover, there were a few large lumps on its head and abdomen. Qin Feiyang looked at the lumps and was extremely excited. This was the precursor to the birth of dragon horns and claws. Other than that, on the black python's neck, there was a fingernail-sized dragon scale. This dragon scale was completely different from the other dragon scales. It was harder, sharper, and emitted a hazy divine light. And that was the reverse scale. Once the reverse scale appeared, it meant that the second step of the black python's evolution had been completed. This was because the reverse scale was the most important thing to a divine dragon. And the reverse scale also represented the identity of a divine dragon. Soon you can do it. Qin Feiyang looked at the black python encouragingly. The black python was naturally very excited. With this 1 day and 1,000 years time array, the effect would be different. Time passed again. Another half a year passed outside. It was also on this day. Qin Feiyong appeared with the black python. Boom! Crack! Immediately. In the sky, the tribulation clouds roared and the terrifying heavenly might enveloped the entire azure wave snow mountain. What's going on? At the same time, everyone in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was alarmed. Everyone ran out of their homes or cave residences and looked up at the sky. At the same time, Yi Tian Zhao Shaojin and the Lady in Green also ran out of their cave residences and stood on Heavenly Peak, looking at the sky above the mountain range in shock. That's Mo Fengyuan? And the black python that Xingde brought back? Wait. Look, that black python seems a little different. What's it called? It seems different. It's obviously different from before. Look, there are big lumps on its head and under its abdomen. Those are obviously dragon horns and dragon claws. Also, look at the dragon scale on its neck. It's as big as a dustpan. That's the reverse scale of a divine dragon. This guy is obviously going to transform. And this is its heavenly tribulation. The other hall of the exalted disciples also ran over in disgust. Heavenly tribulation? What kind of joke is this? It's a great perfection sovereign. How terrifying is its heavenly tribulation? We have to make it leave or else we're all done for. That's right. The heavenly tribulation of a great perfection sovereign was enough to flatten the azure wave snow mountain in an instant. Therefore, at this moment, everyone was very anxious. Qin Feiyong also knew how terrifying the heavenly tribulation was, so he did not let the black python undergo it in the black tortoise realm. After all, even the fire dragon's heavenly tribulation was so terrifying, let alone the black python. It's really a success. This human kid is awesome. Looks like we have to curry favor with him. At the same time, Fire Luan and the other beasts were very excited. Everyone cared about the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, but Cable and the other beasts definitely did not care. Even if the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was destroyed, it was none of their business. They were only concerned about Qin Feiyong's safety now, because this was a key figure whether they could transform or not. Therefore, they immediately ran up and protected Qin Feiyong. Swish! Suddenly, another 12 people descended on the Hall of the Exalted. These people, without exception, all exuded an unfathomable aura. Leading them were the Vice Leader and the Hall of Famers. Next were the 9 elders of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Finally, the Hall of the Exalted Elder, which was the old man in red. They're all here. Nonsense, such a big event, how dare they not come? The disciples below discussed. Old man Qi, quickly bring them to the trial ground. No, it's too late. Go to the fighting arena. Seeing the situation, the vice leader immediately looked at the Hall of Famers and shouted. Chapter 3194. The Hall of Famers did not dare to be negligent as it concerned the safety of the entire Rogue Cultivator Alliance. He took a step forward, grabbed the black python, and instantly landed on the square of the assignment hall. With a stomp of his foot, the entrance to the fighting arena rose from the ground. Then he brought the giant black python and swept into the fighting arena. During this period, no one is allowed to step into the fighting arena. The vice leader shouted coldly and turned to the assignment hall. The 9 elders and the red-clothed old man followed closely behind. However, there was another figure who landed on the square before them. This person was naturally Qin Feiyong. It was not easy to wait for this moment, but to let him stay outside? Wouldn't that be a waste of time? What are you doing? Looking at Qin Feiyong, who was about to enter the fighting arena, the vice leader shouted, Master, if you don't let me in, how can I comprehend the 5th profound? Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. The vice leader was stunned. He had actually forgotten about this matter. He had gathered these beasts for this disciple in front of him. Now that the black python was about to pass the tribulation, he naturally would not miss this opportunity. However, this sovereign realm tribulation was not to be trifled with. Even if it was him, he would have to retreat. You can enter, but before you are confident, don't act recklessly, the vice leader warned. Understood. Qin Feiyong nodded. The vice leader looked at the red-clothed old man and said in a deep voice, You stay here and don't let anyone in, Yes. The red-clothed old man nodded respectfully. The Vice Alliance master swept a glance at the disciples that had followed them. Then, he led Qin Feiyang and the 9 elders into the fighting arena without turning his head back. Did you guys hear that just now? Mo Yuanchuan actually called the vice leader master. Is there something wrong with my ears? No, I heard it too. When did this happen? There was no news at all? Also, I heard him say that he wanted to use the Python's tribulation to comprehend the fifth profound. This guy is crazy. Is the sovereign realm tribulation something he can play around with? Everyone gathered around the mountain peak and discussed animatedly. Li Yuandao was there as well. His eyes were filled with emotion. This person's rise was unstoppable. The only question was whether he could successfully comprehend the fifth profound. If he could, then he would truly be number 1 in the Hall of Fame. In the past, although Qin Feiyang's talent was outstanding, his cultivation was only at the imperishable realm. However, once he stepped into the sovereign realm, it was completely different. This was because the strongest person in the Hall of the Exalted was only a small stage dominator. Given Qin Feiyang's abilities, once he stepped into the half-step ruler realm, even these little rulers would likely be no match for him. Grandpa Qi, can we go in and take a look? The green-clothed girl dragged Zhao Xiaojin and Yi Tian over to the red-clothed old man and giggled. Dandan, don't make things difficult for an old man like me. You heard it too. This is an order from the vice leader. How would I dare to let you in? The old man shook his head. Grandpa Qi, don't you see how filial I am? Just tell us to go in and take a look. The green-clothed girl hugged the old man's arm and used her trump card, acting coquettishly. I really can't. If it was something else, he would agree. However, he couldn't be soft-hearted about this. The green-clothed girl immediately lowered her head in grievance. In the arena, rumble, crack, the tribulation clouds roared, and the heavenly might was vast and mighty. The black python floated in the air, looking at the tribulation clouds in the sky with excitement and anxiety. It was finally transcending the tribulation. However, this heavenly tribulation seemed to be somewhat beyond its imagination. Could it safely transcend it? This heavenly tribulation can only rely on itself. We can't help it. Retreat further away. The Hall of Famers said in a low voice. The vice leader and the 9 elders nodded and retreated into the distance. However, Qin Feiyang didn't move. He looked at the sky, his eyes filled with anticipation. Wait. What if it was the same as the previous trial and his physical body was shattered by the tribulation? Wouldn't his divine soul be exposed? No. He had to get the vice leader and the others to leave the arena. What could he do? Crack. Suddenly, the first tribulation descended from the sky with the power to destroy the world. The black python immediately released its aura to welcome the tribulation. Mo Yuanyuan, come over quickly. The Hall of Famers saw that Qin Feiyang was still standing there motionlessly and hurriedly shouted. Qin Feiyang quietly retreated to the side of the others. The Grand Elder saw through Qin Feiyang's thoughts and said in a low voice, although you want to use this tribulation to comprehend the fifth profound, you don't have to face it directly. You can observe from afar. Then you know that if I don't face the tribulation directly, it won't be of much use. Qin Feiyang said. Observing from afar is indeed not as effective as facing the tribulation directly, but at least it won't be life-threatening. To be honest, this is the first time we've encountered a tribulation at the peak sovereign realm, so even we don't know how powerful it is. The Grand Elder's tone was incomparably solemn. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered when he heard that. These people weren't familiar with the tribulation, but he was very familiar with it. According to his past experience, it was impossible for people of the same realm to withstand the power of the tribulation. Therefore, in the end, these people would definitely be forced to leave the fighting arena. In other words, he didn't need to think of a way, he just needed to wait patiently. Crack! The first heavenly tribulation fell with a loud bang. The black python immediately let out a miserable howl. The scales on its body shattered, and it was instantly covered in blood. At the same time, the power of the tribulation turned into an invisible wave of air that rolled in all directions. Quick! The vice leader roared. Other than Qin Feiyang, everyone appeared, and their divine power roared out, condensing into a barrier. Boom! The wave of air rushed over, and the barrier immediately began to tremble and distort. So powerful. The vice leader and the others were shocked. This was the tribulation at the peak sovereign realm? Even with the strength of the 11 of them, they still couldn't withstand it. Crack. The second tribulation descended. Damn you, if you have the ability, blast me to death. The black python roared, and the power of 6 laws appeared. They were the law of metal, the law of wind, the law of strength, the law of water, the law of darkness, and the law of earth. The power of the 6 laws turned into a torrent that went straight for the tribulation. Accompanied by a loud bang, the tribulation and the 6 laws met, and the void of the fighting arena immediately began to collapse, and the earth was also crazily annihilated. The wave of air that surged in all directions also suddenly increased by a level. The barrier formed by the vice leader and the others trembled even more violently. 11's expression was extremely solemn. The vice leader turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said in a deep voice, "The seriousness of the situation is somewhat beyond imagination. Quickly go out." "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head, staring at the sky. He wanted to see if there was any effect by observing from afar. Why is he so stubborn? The vice leader was a little angry. This isn't stubbornness, this is persistence, a desire for strength. I'm afraid it's because of this that he can far surpass his peers. The Hall of Famers, on the other hand, somewhat admired Qin Feiyang's courage. To achieve great things, one had to have a little courage. Cowering and being afraid of death, what kind of future could one have? Nonsense. He's not your disciple, of course you don't feel sorry for him. The vice leader glared at him angrily. What do you mean by that? Back then it was you who snatched him from my hands, otherwise he would definitely be my disciple now. The Hall of Famers said angrily. That's because you don't have the ability. The vice leader sneered. I don't have the ability? Surnamed Yi, are you looking for trouble? Why don't we compete and see who's more powerful? The Hall of Famers shouted. I say the two of you enough. What time is it now and you're still fighting? The Grand Elder looked at the two speechlessly. Humph. The vice leader and the Hall of Famers snorted at the same time and looked at the black python again. Crack. The third heavenly tribulation fell. The black python's aura was like a rainbow, and the power of 6 laws was like 6 giant dragons, roaring in the sky and blasting toward the heavenly tribulation. Boom! Even so, it couldn't stop the terrifying heavenly tribulation. The 6 laws were instantly annihilated. The heavenly tribulation fell and instantly drowned the black python. The black python howled in pain, and the scales on its body were almost all shattered, and its body was a bloody mess. It can't succeed. The second elder shook his head. This heavenly tribulation was too terrifying, far surpassing that of a perfected dominator. If it were them, none of them would have the confidence to successfully pass this heavenly tribulation. The fourth heavenly tribulation fell. Not only did the black python suffer fatal injuries, but the barrier set up by the vice leader and the others also finally reached its limit and collapsed instantly. Again, the vice leader shouted. The 11 of them began to use their power of laws to condense a barrier. Even so, the barrier was wildly distorting, and it would collapse at any time. This is only the fourth heavenly tribulation, Qin Feiyang muttered. If the fourth heavenly tribulation was so terrifying, then what about the rest? To be honest, at this moment he didn't have any confidence at all. This was more terrifying than any heavenly tribulation he had faced before. Moreover, it wasn't just 1 or 2 times but tens of thousands of times. Crack. The fifth heavenly tribulation came again. A trace of fear finally appeared in the black python's eyes. 100,000 feet long divine body. It roared, and its body crazily enlarged. In just a moment it was like a towering mountain in the sky. This was the fifth profundity of the law of power. The law of power mainly strengthened the physical body and strength. As for the fifth profundity, it was practically 5 times stronger than its original foundation. Boom! It raised its huge tail and smashed it toward the heavenly tribulation. Roar! However, with a miserable cry, its huge tail shattered on the spot, and it was once again drowned by the heavenly tribulation. Its flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and even its bones were exposed. Mouyuan. Didn't you say that you would help me pass the heavenly tribulation? Hurry up and help. I can't hold on any longer. The black python roared. its eyes filled with despair. Help! The vice leader and the others couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyong in shock. Ahem. Qin Feiyong coughed dryly and smiled embarrassedly. Back then I just said it casually. I didn't expect it to take it seriously. Is this something that you can casually say? The group of people rolled their eyes. Even they didn't have the confidence, let alone this kid. Chapter 3195. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. He originally thought that he should be able to help the black python transcend the tribulation, but now he didn't have much confidence in his heart. Crack! The sixth heavenly tribulation came again. The black python was directly blasted down and was on the verge of death. At the same time, cracks began to appear on the barrier set up by the Vice Alliance Master and the others. Not good. Quickly withdraw from the fighting arena. The Vice Leader shouted. What about it? The Great Elder pointed at the black python. Good luck. The Vice Alliance Chief shook his head. Then, he brought Qin Feiyong and rushed toward the exit. Master, I can't leave. Qin Feiyong hurriedly said. If you don't leave, you'll be waiting for death here. The Vice Leader said angrily. I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. No matter what, I can't miss it. Master, please grant this disciple's wish. Qin Feiyong bowed and said. You're really not afraid of death? The Vice Leader frowned. Wealth comes from danger. This disciple wants to take this gamble. Qin Feiyong said word by word, his eyes shining with determination. Old man Yi, why don't you grant his wish? The Hall of Famers frowned and looked at the Vice Leader and sighed. Grant his wish? Don't you know that this is granting his wish to court death? The Vice Leader roared. But perhaps a miracle will happen to him? Besides, if you forcefully take him out now, he will definitely be unwilling and might even blame you in the future. The Hall of Famers said. The Vice Leader's expression was uncertain. In the end, he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, Have you made up your mind? Qin Feiyong nodded. Fine, I'll grant your wish. But remember, you must come out alive. The Vice Leader reminded. Yes. Qin Feiyong was overjoyed. This barrier can still hold on for a while. You can take the opportunity to make some preparations. After saying that, the Vice Leader turned and left resolutely. Good luck. This old man thinks highly of you. The Hall of Famers also patted Qin Feiyong's shoulder, smiled encouragingly, and rushed into the space-time rift as well. Little fellow, this old man has never admired anyone in my life. You are an exception. Work hard. The First Elder also gave Qin Feiyong a thumbs up and smiled appreciatively. Before the other elders left, they also gave Qin Feiyong a look of encouragement. However, they could only give him moral support. There was nothing else they could do. Because the power of laws had to rely on oneself in the first place, others could not help. Seeing the group of people leave, Qin Feiyong heaved a sigh of relief. Whoosh! With a thought, Madman appeared in the barrier. Fuck, what's going on? Madman was shocked. See for yourself. Qin Feiyong gestured angrily at the black python. I see. Madman suddenly realized. He had known about the black python for a long time and also knew the purpose of Qin Feiyong cultivating it. But what did this have to do with him? Don't you want to comprehend the fifth profound? Qin Feiyong chuckled. Madman was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly patted his head and said, Yes, I can also use this tribulation to comprehend the fifth profound of the law of thunder. See, I'm good to you. If there's something good, I will never forget you. Qin Feiyong smiled. Something good? The corner of Madman's mouth twitched as he shook his head and said, I don't think it's something good this time. The black python did not notice Madman's appearance at all, because it was not in the mood to pay attention to anything else. The great Madman Mo is actually afraid of danger. Don't make me laugh. Qin Feiyong chuckled. Don't provoke me. Whether I'm afraid or not is one thing. Whether I do it or not is another. Madman rolled his eyes at him. Then do it or do it. Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. Is there a difference between these two sentences? Madman was speechless. He looked up at the seventh tribulation and laughed. Then do it. Great. But first, change back to Mo Wuhui's appearance. Qin Feiyong said. Is that necessary? Madman was taken aback. Facing this kind of tribulation, his physical body would definitely be destroyed. When his divine soul came out, wouldn't it be discovered by the black python? If you can expose yourself, try not to expose yourself, right? Qin Feiyang asked. Okay. Madman took an illusion pill and instantly changed into Imo Wuhui's appearance. Then, the two of them kept the universe ring in the castle. Boom! At the same time, the seventh tribulation struck the black python. Its huge body was directly split into several halves. At this moment it was in extreme despair. If it had known this would happen, it would not have gone through the tribulation even if it was beaten to death. Metamorphosis was important, but its life was more important. Crack! The eighth tribulation came again. It had already closed its eyes and was waiting for death. Whoosh! But at this moment 2 figures rushed over and hovered in the sky. The black python opened its eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Did he really come to help it? How could there be such a foolish human? Did he know how terrifying this tribulation was? He was only at the peak imperishable realm. Wasn't he courting death by coming here? Suddenly, it looked at Madman again. Who was this person? Before it had time to think, the 8th tribulation came. It was stronger than the previous tribulation. The black python could not help but worry for Qin Feiyang and Madman. Let's begin, Qin Feiyang said. Okay. Madman nodded. The two of them closed their eyes and the thunder law rolled out like a torrent, going against the current and surging towards the tribulation. What are they doing? The black python was stunned. Boom! In an instant, the 2 thunder laws collided with the tribulation. Without any suspense, the 2 thunder laws were directly annihilated. The 2 of them suddenly spat out blood and their bodies also cracked with shocking bloody marks. With the power of this tribulation, once it fell, not only could it instantly shatter their bodies, it could also instantly obliterate their divine soul. But at this moment, the 2 of them did not panic at all. It was as if they didn't feel the pain of their bodies cracking. They didn't care. Because before they attacked, they were already prepared for their bodies to be shattered. Moreover, according to the previous 2 experiences, only after the body was shattered would the divine soul have a chance to merge with the tribulation. After merging, they would be able to comprehend the mysteries contained in the tribulation. And now, they had activated the law of lightning in order to make preparations. Because, if the thunder law could merge with the tribulation first when the tribulation fell, not only could it reduce the damage to them, but it would also be easier for their divine soul to merge with the tribulation. I have successfully merged. Although it's only a little, I have achieved my goal. Madman suddenly said. Me too. Qin Feiyang nodded. Before his voice faded, the heavenly tribulation arrived. The 2 of them shattered on the spot and their divine soul also dissipated. It was too fast. The black python that had been staring at the 2 of them didn't even see the appearance of their divine souls before their divine souls were drowned by the tribulation. An aura of death suddenly shrouded them. But the 2 of them didn't panic in the face of danger. Their divine souls quickly merged with the tribulation and comprehended the mysteries within. Righteous. If we can succeed this time, if we don't die, then you will be this emperor's brothers in the future. Looking at Qin Feiyang and Madman whose bodies had been shattered, the black python was extremely moved. But now, Qin Feiyang and Madman were not in the mood to pay attention to it, and they had completely forgotten about the existence of the black python. Their bodies and minds were completely immersed in the profound meaning of thunder. They didn't dare to be distracted now, because the power of the tribulation was too terrifying. Their divine soul couldn't hold on for long. If they couldn't comprehend the 5th profound meaning before their divine soul was annihilated, then there was only one ending. Their divine soul would be destroyed. Although only a moment had passed in reality, Qin Feiyang and Madman felt that it was as long as a few centuries. At this moment, their minds seemed to have entered a magical space. This space seemed to be endless. The 2 of them were like headless flies, shuttling back and forth in the space, full of confusion. Because here there was nothing but the power of thunder that filled the sky. In this mysterious space, time passed bit by bit. No one knew how long had passed. Suddenly, they felt that there was something in front of them that was calling them, and they couldn't help but rush forward. It also felt like a few centuries had passed. The power of thunder in front of them became denser and denser. But to them it didn't cause any harm. Suddenly, there was a trace of surprise in their eyes, as if there was something floating in front of them, but they couldn't see it clearly. Immediately, they began to chase after that mysterious thing. Gradually, that thing became more and more obvious. It was a huge outline that looked like a sea, but it didn't feel like a sea. It felt like another few centuries had passed. Finally, they saw that thing clearly. It was actually a thunder pool. But the strange thing was that in the endless thunder pool, there was only a wisp of the power of thunder. The two of them entered the thunder pool with doubts. There was no danger. The two of them slowly approached that wisp of thunder. Although there was no danger, this wisp of thunder gave them a kind of pressure that came from the heart. What is this? Wait, could this be the source of the thunder law? Qin Feiyong raised his arm in surprise and slowly reached out towards that wisp of thunder. Whoosh! When his fingertips touched that strand of lightning energy, that strand of lightning energy actually drilled into his fingertips with a whoosh. Then it turned into a surge of boundless energy that flowed through his fingers, arms, and flooded his entire body. And at the same time, Qin Feiyong entered a mysterious state. He forgot about himself, forgot about others, forgot about everything, and only the profound meaning of the thunder law was left in his mind. The first profound meaning, the second profound meaning, the third profound meaning, the fourth profound meaning, they constantly evolved, intertwined, and overlapped in his mind. His understanding of the profound meaning was also getting deeper and deeper. Boom! No one knew how long had passed. Suddenly, a bolt of thunder tore through the sky, descending from the sky with a great momentum. The mysterious thunder pool that Qin Feiyong was in began to collapse. However, when Qin Feiyong saw that bolt of thunder, he was dumbfounded. This bolt of thunder was actually just a small wisp of thunder. It was no exaggeration to say that it was similar to a strand of hair, but it emitted an aura that could destroy heaven and earth. It felt that even a peak-level heaven-defying artifact would not be able to stop it. However, this wisp of thunder gave Qin Feiyong a very intimate feeling, as if it was a part of his body. Chapter 3196. The lightning struck down and directly entered Qin Feiyong's head. Boom! Immediately, a monstrous power erupted from Qin Feiyong's body. Along with this divine might, numerous bolts of lightning surged out. They seemed to be boundless, and with him as the center, they surged out in all directions. Boom! The lightning pool was completely destroyed. This mysterious space was also crazily collapsing. Qin Feiyong did not seem to notice any of this, and even slowly closed his eyes and entered a meditative state again. The four profound thaumaturgies of the law of thunder were once again evolved in his mind, and compared to before, he felt that these profound thaumaturgies were much more thorough than before. Suddenly, a purple armor appeared in front of him. This was the first profound of the law of thunder, thunder armor. Clang! Immediately after, a purple hammer appeared, vast and mighty. This was the second profound, thunder god's hammer. In the next instant, roar! Thunderous dragon roars could be heard as lightning dragons roared out. Third profound, thunder's wrath. Crack! Boom! Immediately after, waves of lightning power appeared all around, like a heavenly tribulation, roaring in this collapsed space. The fourth profound, nine heavens divine thunder. The four profound thaumaturgies were fully displayed, exuding a world-destroying aura. Boom! Suddenly, these four profound thaumaturgies flew towards each other, intertwining and fusing with each other. Finally, all the profound thaumaturgies fused into one, forming a palm-sized lightning pool. Just like the lightning pool Qin Feiyong saw before, there was a strand of lightning power floating in the center of the lightning pool. At this moment, Qin Feiyong's comprehension of the law of thunder rose to another level. Lightning pool, thunderclap. The strand of lightning power that descended from the sky before was the source of the law of thunder. The so-called source was this piece of heaven and earth. All things were born from this world, and so was the law of thunder. The lightning pool appeared, thunderclap. This was the fifth profound of the law of thunder. The moment the lightning pool and thunderclap appeared, this mysterious space completely collapsed. Qin Feiyong's mind also retreated. Although he had stayed in this mysterious space for a long time, only a moment had passed outside. The terrifying heavenly tribulation was destroying his divine soul. When his consciousness returned, Qin Feiyong once again felt the aura of death. Not good, run. Frenzy's voice suddenly sounded beside him. Obviously, he had already come out of that mysterious space. Although they had comprehended the fifth profound and their immunity against heavenly tribulation, the heavenly tribulation of Perfection Sovereign Realm was too terrifying. This immunity didn't have much effect at all. In other words, if they didn't retreat, they would definitely die. But if they retreated, what would happen to them? Although he and the Black Python were both taking what they needed, he couldn't bear to leave the Black Python behind just like that. Moreover, after comprehending the fourth profound of the law of karma, Qin Feiyong was especially concerned about this kind of karma, because he could feel that this karma was everywhere. As long as he could find more karma, he would be able to comprehend the fifth profound. And there was an inevitable karma between him and the Black Python, because he was the one who had brought the Black Python here, and he was also the one who had given the Black Python a chance to transform. Similarly, because of the Black Python's transformation, he and Frenzy had both comprehended the fifth profound. This was the karma between them. And now, if he didn't care about the Black Python's life or death, he would be severing the karma between them. Severing the karma was equivalent to destroying the karma. On the contrary, if he helped the Black Python succeed in its tribulation, the karma between them would continue to multiply. Perhaps in the future, he would be able to comprehend the fifth profound just by relying on the karma between him and the Black Python. But how could he help? Even the Vice Alliance leader and the others couldn't stop such a heavenly tribulation, let alone him. One had to know. Although he had comprehended the fifth profound because he had lost his physical body, he hadn't broken through to half-step ruler. Even if he did, he wouldn't be able to compare to the Vice Alliance leader and the others. Go! Frenzy shouted anxiously. Right now he only had 2 wisps of divine soul left. Qin Feiyong was the same. The hand of the death god was reaching for the 2 of them. Clang! But at this moment, a black divine light appeared and covered the surroundings. Qin Feiyong was overjoyed when he saw this. He couldn't be more familiar with this thing. In the next moment, the ancient castle appeared in front of him, protecting his and Frenzy's divine soul. It actually appeared of its own accord. Could it be that this heavenly tribulation has already reached the level of a sovereign weapon? Frenzy was surprised. This was simply unexpected. You don't say. Even if this heavenly tribulation hasn't reached the level of a sovereign weapon, it's probably not far off. Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with wariness. In the future, he definitely couldn't casually touch the heavenly tribulation of a peak ruler. As soon as the ancient castle appeared, all the lightning power in the surroundings was absorbed by it. Moreover, the following heavenly tribulations also disappeared from the ancient castle. What's the situation? Below, the Black Python looked at the sky in surprise. Because at this moment, whether it was the ancient castle or Qin Feiyong's divine soul, they were all enveloped by the black light, so it couldn't see anything. Moreover, the ancient castle also deliberately concealed its aura. Therefore, even if someone had seen the ancient castle before, they probably wouldn't be able to recognize it now, let alone the Black Python. At this moment, there was only one question in its mind. What exactly happened? Time passed bit by bit. The 99th heavenly tribulation finally descended and disappeared from the ancient castle. The tribulation clouds began to dissipate. A ray of auspicious light descended from the sky and fused into the Black Python's body. The Black Python immediately revealed a comfortable expression. Crack! Accompanied by the sound of skin cracking, dragon horns and dragon claws broke out of its body one after another. The injuries all over its body were also healing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and black dragon scales grew out. Roar! A moment later, it raised its head and let out a dragon roar, soaring into the sky, exuding a monstrous dragon might. Haha, it's a success, a success. This emperor has finally become a true divine beast. This excitement made it difficult for it to extricate itself. Alright, let's also reconstruct our bodies in the Black Tortoise realm. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. Frenzy responded. You can't go to the Black Tortoise realm now. The voice of the ancient castle suddenly sounded in their minds. Why? The two of them were suspicious, because the vice leader and the others will come to the fighting arena later. When they see that you aren't here, they will definitely use their divine sense to search. Although with me here, they won't be able to force their way into the Black Tortoise realm. But if they know that even they can't break the Black Tortoise realm, won't they be suspicious? Why do you have such a powerful spatial divine object? In short, it's better to have less trouble. You guys first think of a way to deal with them, then come to the Black Tortoise realm. The ancient castle said. All right. Qin Feiyang responded. Swish. The ancient castle disappeared, and the divine light also dissipated. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy's divine sense appeared. But it wasn't in human form but in mist form. Seeing this, the black python hurriedly ran to the two of them and said gratefully, Thank you, thank you. If it wasn't for your help, this emperor really wouldn't know what to do. We're helping each other, so there's no need to be so polite. Qin Feiyang smiled. Ha! I'm ashamed. In the past, this emperor thought that humans weren't anything good. But I didn't expect to meet you. You helped this emperor transform, and even helped this emperor pass his tribulation. In the end, you could have abandoned this emperor, but you didn't. Brother, with this friendship of yours, if you don't mind, you can call this emperor Big Brother from now on. We'll be blood brothers. If you have any problems, just say it. The black python roared heroically. Right, it should be called Black Dragon now. Sure, Big Brother Black Dragon. Qin Feiyang smiled. This was karma. Good people would be rewarded, and evil people would be repaid with evil. Black Dragon said. Then brother, hurry up and reconstruct your divine sense and divine body. This emperor will protect you. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, This is not the place to reconstruct the divine sense and divine body. Take us back to the cave abode. It's best to hide our auras on the way. Because he and Frenzy were both in their divine sense form, they couldn't hide their auras, so if they went out like this, they would probably be recognized immediately. As for why Black Dragon didn't recognize them, it was probably because he had heard of their names but had never seen them in person. Okay, with this emperor around, no one will be able to get close to you. Black Dragon nodded and immediately grabbed the two's divine sense in his dragon claws, using dragon might to hide Qin Feiyang's and Frenzy's aura. This action required absolute trust, because if the Black Dragon harbored malicious intentions, then he only needed to exert some strength to directly crush Qin Feiyang and Qin Feiyang's divine souls. From this point, it could be seen that Black Dragon sincerely wanted to be brothers with Qin Feiyang. When Black Dragon left the combat arena and appeared in the sky above the assignment hall square, he immediately saw a black crowd surrounding him. The vice leader, the Hall of Famers, the 9 great elders, and the old man in red stood at the front. Next was Yitian Zhao Shaojin and the woman in green. Finally, there were the disciples of the Hall of the Famers. It could be said that at this moment, almost all the disciples of the Hall of the Famers had come out, because many of them had the cultivation of the sovereign realm. He's out. He succeeded. But what about Mo Fengyuan? Seeing Black Dragon appear, a hint of joy appeared in everyone's eyes. However, when they saw that only Black Dragon came out, and Qin Feiyang didn't appear for a long time, their expressions became suspicious again. Especially the vice leader and the others, they stared at the space-time crack with anticipation and anxiety in their eyes. Black Dragon, where's Brother Mo? Zhao Shaojin couldn't help but step forward and ask. Black Dragon lowered his head and sighed softly. Is he dead? Zhao Shaojin's gaze trembled. Yitian's hands couldn't help but clench tightly. The vice leader and the others were also trembling. A monstrous genius who mastered 7 types of law power died just like that. Chapter 3197. I told you not to let him stay in the arena. You guys just wouldn't listen, especially you old bastard. The vice leader was furious. He glared at the Hall of Famers and roared. If it weren't for the Hall of Famers persuading him, he would definitely forcefully take Qin Feiyang out of the arena. This is fate. The Hall of Famers sighed. He didn't want this to happen, but what could he do? It had already happened. He couldn't change it. However, among these disciples, there were also some who were secretly gloating. These people didn't have any hatred for Qin Feiyang. They were purely jealous. Haha. The Black Dragon suddenly laughed and said jokingly, Look at how nervous you guys are. I'm just teasing you. He's not dead. I'll bring him back to my cave abode now to reconstruct his body and divine soul." After saying that, the black dragon flew toward the heavenly peak. "He's not dead?" Everyone was stunned. They immediately glared at the black dragon's back. This bastard was actually playing with them? However, it was great that he wasn't dead. Zhao Xiaojin's sorrow turned into joy. He was more and more impressed with Qin Feiyang. The fact that the black dragon could successfully pass the tribulation was definitely related to Qin Feiyang. The tribulation of a perfection stage dominator. How did this guy do it? "Old man Yi, are you still going to scold me?" The Hall of Famers came back to his senses and glared at the vice leader. The vice leader smiled awkwardly. "Only I have a good temper. If it was someone with a bad temper, you can try it." The Hall of Famers snorted coldly and turned to leave. "Shameless." The vice leader glared at the Hall of Famers and flew toward the heavenly peak. The Grand Elder also followed. As for the other Grand Elders, they looked at each other and left. Yi Tian also flew toward the heavenly peak with Zhao Xiaojin and the green-clothed woman. As for the other disciples, they either went to the heavenly peak to join in the fun or left in twos and threes. However, without exception, they were all discussing the same topic. How did the Black Dragon successfully pass the tribulation? Sky Peak. Big Brother Black Dragon. I'm going to go into seclusion in the divine spatial item. Help me guard the cave. Before I come out, don't let anyone in. Inside the cave, Qin Feiyang looked at Black Dragon and said, "Don't worry and go." The Black Dragon turned into a meter long and waved its dragon claws. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang thanked him and brought the madman into the Black Tortoise world. Black Dragon glanced at the cave and pursed his lips. "Is this the cave of a hall of the exalted disciple? Can't even compare to my cave in the mountains. It's too shabby." After saying that, he turned around and blocked the entrance of the cave residence. It was as if one man could hold back 10,000 men. Just nice. The Vice Alliance leader, First Elder, Yi Tian, and the other disciples who came to join in the fun arrived outside the cave. "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Black Dragon raised his eyebrows when he saw the Vice Alliance leader rushing towards the cave residence. The Vice Alliance leader was stunned. He frowned and asked, "What are you doing?" "I was the one who asked you first." Black Dragon angrily said. Others might be afraid of the Vice Alliance leader, but it wasn't. After all, it was also a perfected dominator and was now a divine beast. "Emo Yuanchu is my disciple. Can't I see him?" The Vice Alliance leader raised his eyebrows. "You can. But not now." Black Dragon shook his head. "Why?" The Vice Alliance leader was stunned. Black Dragon said indifferently, "Because he is rebuilding his physical body and divine body. I don't want anyone to disturb him. I am his master." The Vice Alliance leader roared. "I know. You don't have to remind me again." Black Dragon said. "Then why aren't you moving aside?" The Vice Alliance leader's face darkened. Who was he to be so arrogant in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? No means no. Although you are his master, I am also his big brother, so I must ensure his safety. Black Dragon said proudly. "Big brother?" The Vice Alliance leader was stunned. "Yes, I just acknowledged him." Black Dragon nodded. The Vice Alliance leader was stunned. His disciple was quite amazing. In such a short time, he actually called this divine beast brother. The Vice Alliance leader said helplessly, "You can't be thinking that I will take the opportunity to hurt him, right? That's none of my business. Anyway, you can't go in now." Black Dragon shook his head. "Let me tell you, this is the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." The Vice Alliance leader suppressed his temper and said in a deep voice. Black Dragon was completely unmoved. He said indifferently, "Are you done? If you are, please go back." "You." The Vice Alliance leader was furious. To see his disciple, he had to get someone else's permission? What kind of world was this? "Old Yi, forget it. He is doing this for your disciple's sake." The Great Elder chuckled. The Vice Alliance leader rolled his eyes. He looked at Black Dragon and said, "Then, has my disciple comprehended the fifth profound? After he rebuilds his divine body and divine soul, I will tell you personally." Black Dragon said. The Vice Alliance leader was furious. Alright. Let's go. Anyway, we just need to know that he is fine. The Great Elder hurriedly comforted and dragged the Vice Alliance leader back. No, what are you talking about? I'm his master, right? He's my disciple, right? Why do we need this fellow's permission to meet? The Vice Alliance leader could not accept it. Think of it this way. He is protecting Mo Yuanyuan, which can be considered as saving you a lot of trouble. After all, Mo Yuanyuan has offended many people in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. What if someone dares to take advantage of his weakness to plot against him? Besides, this black dragon has already transformed into a divine beast. Strength is much stronger than before. Even us elders might not be its match. If it can stay in our Rogue Cultivator Alliance, wouldn't it be a great help to us? The Great Elder chuckled. Help? The Vice Alliance leader was stunned. Yes, if it wasn't for Mo Yuanyuan, we wouldn't have been able to keep it. But it is different now. It is brothers with Mo Yuanyuan. When the time comes, as long as Mo Yuanyuan says the word, it might stay in our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. In that case, our Rogue Cultivator Alliance can be considered as having a divine beast overseeing it. For us, as long as it is beneficial, there will be no harm. The Great Elder smiled. That makes sense. All right then. I will be magnanimous and not argue with it. The Vice Alliance leader smiled. He felt much better now. Outside the cave, Zhao Xiaojin looked at the black dragon and said, Senior, can't we go in and see him? Are you his wife? The black dragon sized Zhao Xiaojin up and asked suddenly. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. If you are, then you can. But if you are not, then get lost. Do you know him that well? The black dragon turned hostile just like that. It had no choice. In the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, it only recognized Qin Feiyang. As for the others, even Yi Tian, it did not care about them. Zhao Xiaojin could not help but feel a trace of anger when she heard that. However, there was nothing she could do. A divine beast at the peak imperishable stage was not something she could offend. If you don't want to go in, then so be it. Xiaojin, let's go back. The green-clothed woman glared at the black dragon and pulled Zhao Xiaojin back to the second cave. Yi Tian shook his head and smiled bitterly before returning to the first cave. As for the other disciples, they did not dare to go forward. They all hid in the distance and whispered. Old Black, you've succeeded. Soon. The Fire Luan ran to the sky peak with a group of beasts and looked at the black dragon excitedly. Isn't it right in front of you? The black dragon smiled proudly. Where is Mo Yuanchuan now? We came together. Now that you've succeeded, don't forget us. The Fire Luan said with a flattering expression. I really can't make the decision. How about this? When my little brother comes out of seclusion, I'll ask him. The black dragon said. Thank you. The Fire Luan and the other beasts were very grateful. I say, Old Fire. Let's not talk about them. Your Fire Luan body is also considered a divine beast. Is there a need to be so anxious? The black dragon pulled the Fire Luan to the side and frowned. Can it be as awe-inspiring as a phoenix? The Fire Luan said. Seems like it. The black dragon nodded and laughed. Don't worry. I don't want to help those guys, but I'll definitely help you. Thank you, brother. The Fire Luan was touched. No need. We're all family. The black dragon waved his claws with a cunning look. One look and one could tell that he was up to no good. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. It had been more than 100,000 years in the Black Tortoise world. On this day, Qin Feiyang finally walked out of the ancient castle. Not only did his physical body and divine soul reconstruct, but his cultivation had also successfully stepped into the half-step sovereign realm. Moreover, it was just as the two ancestors had said. After comprehending the fifth profundity of the law of lightning, all aspects of his body had improved. It was much easier for him to comprehend the other laws. Boom! Not long after he walked out of the ancient castle, frost suddenly appeared in the east of the Devil's Land. In just an instant the sky began to freeze. The entire Devil's Land seemed to have fallen into a cold winter. Qin Feiyang looked up with a trace of surprise in his eyes. This is the law of ice. The madman walked out. His cultivation had also been suppressed to the half-step sovereign realm. Law of ice? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. It should be that white Jade Qilin guy. The madman said. White Jade Qilan. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He patted his head and said, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Did it agree to follow you? This White Jade Qilan was something they encountered in the trial ground. The madman was quite interested in this divine beast. No. This guy is very arrogant and looks down on me. But there's no rush. Anyway, there's still a long time. The madman waved his hand. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. The thing I asked you to plan last time, how's it going? The madman asked. What is it? Qin Feiyong didn't react for a moment. The madman said, it's to find someone to spar with and reveal my law of ice, so that the big shots of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance will take the initiative to accept me as a disciple. That. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. Qin Feiyong laughed dryly. I knew it. I have no interest in those big shots. I just want to take the opportunity to get some legendary rank heaven-defying treasures. Hurry up and arrange it. The madman urged. Okay, I'll go out and plan it later. Qin Feiyong nodded. Chapter 3198. You've all recovered. At this moment, Qin Batian and Lu Zhongyang walked over with a gratified smile on their faces. You actually still have the mood to come out for a stroll? Don't you feel the pressure? Madman looked at the two of them playfully. Pressure? The two of them were taken aback. Yes, thinking back to when I was still in the Divine Land, you had already stepped into the imperishable realm. And now, not only me, but even Qin Feiyong has caught up to you. Shouldn't there be pressure? Madman smiled playfully. Don't be so proud. You're just lucky to follow Feiyong and enjoy the benefits of the time array here. Lu Zhongyang pursed his lips. It's undeniable that my talent is definitely better than yours. Madman smiled proudly. Okay. Lu Zhongyang nodded and looked at Qin Feiyong. Feiyong. There's something we want to discuss with you. What is it? Qin Feiyong was taken aback and looked at the two of them suspiciously. We want to take a walk outside. Lu Zhongyang said. Just go, who dares to stop you? Qin Feiyong said. You don't understand what I mean. I'm not talking about the Black Tortoise realm. We've already finished exploring the Black Tortoise realm. We want to go outside to the Sky Cloud realm. Lu Zhongyang smiled slightly. What? Go outside to the Sky Cloud realm? Why? Isn't it good here? Qin Feiyong frowned. Of course it's good here. We don't lack anything, but it's because of this that we want to go out. Because all these years we've been staying in the Black Tortoise realm and we feel that our fighting spirit is almost gone. But the most important thing is that old Qin. Lu Zhongyang glanced at Qin Batian and smiled. He wants to try to find the mystery of his origin. I've been paying attention to this. It's not worth it for you to take the risk. Qin Feiyong didn't want to agree. It wasn't easy for them to be reunited. If they were to be separated now, who knew when they would be able to reunite again? In any case, he couldn't bear to do it. You have your own things to do. We can't always rely on you. Besides, we're not old yet. We don't need you to protect us. As long as you can take care of yourself, we'll be satisfied. Actually, we've had this thought for a long time. It's just that the Black Tortoise realm is not strong enough, so we've been delaying it. But now, you and Madman have both stepped into the half-step ruler realm. You won't have any problems protecting yourselves. We can leave without worry. Qin Batian smiled. Are you too serious? Madman looked at the two and couldn't help but frown. When do you think we should make a joke? Lu Zhongyang smiled helplessly. I don't care if you're joking or not, I don't agree. Qin Feiyong shook his head. You brat, if we insist on leaving, do you think you can stop us? Lu Zhongyang shook his head and smiled. Qin Feiyong fell silent. Indeed, he couldn't stop them because Qin Batian controlled the space-time law. If the ancient castle didn't help, they could leave the Black Tortoise realm at any time. Since they've decided, there's no need to force them to stay. Old Qin, why don't we help them? After all, they're right. We still have a lot of things to do. We can't take care of everything. Madman looked at Qin Feiyong and said, No, it's too sudden. I'm not prepared at all. If you want to leave, you should have said so earlier. Qin Feiyong looked at the two with dissatisfaction. It's not like we're parting forever. Is there a need? Qin Batian smiled and said, We can understand your feelings. Don't worry, we'll live well. Moreover, I have a premonition that in the sky cloud realm, we'll definitely be able to solve the mystery of my identity. Since that's the case, Qin Feiyong frowned and said, all right, you two be careful. If you encounter any danger, remember to send me a message. Okay. The two nodded. What about great-grandmother and Xia Yuan? Qin Feiyong asked. Xia Yuan and the others will definitely stay in the Black Tortoise realm to help you. As for great-grandmother and Rushuang, they definitely won't follow us. You have to take good care of them. Qin Batian smiled. All right. Qin Feiyong nodded. Then take the Blood Demon Tower with you. Although it's only a peak heaven-defying divine artifact, there's a one-day 500-year time array inside. Otherwise, when you go out, your cultivation will be too slow and you'll drag us down. Madman said. You're willing. Qin Batian and Rushuang were stunned. Of course I'm not willing. But there's no other way. Who told me to meet you two fellows? But you have to promise me that you'll protect the Blood Demon Tower. Madman said. Since he had the time array of the Black Tortoise realm and he couldn't use the Blood Demon Tower, he might as well give it to Qin Batian and Rushuang. Thank you very much. Qin Batian and Rushuang looked at each other and cupped their hands with a smile. All right, let's skip the pleasantries. I wish you success in solving the mystery of your background. Madman waved his hand. In fact, he could understand Qin Batian's feelings the most. Because he had been searching for the mystery of his background. He didn't know where he came from, nor did he know if he had parents, siblings, or clansmen in this world. That was a kind of torture in disguise. Therefore, Madman was still very supportive of Qin Batian. All right, you two prepare and bring enough resources. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he left the Black Tortoise realm. The Azure Wave Snow Mountain had a barrier set up by the Alliance Master. Qin Batian couldn't activate the space-time law at all, so he had to leave the barrier first before the two ancestors could leave. It was just that it was too sudden. In his heart, he really couldn't bear to leave. Brother, you're out. Black Dragon sensed Qin Feiyong's aura and hurriedly turned around and rushed into the cave. Yes. It's been hard on you, Brother Black Dragon. Qin Feiyong nodded and smiled. It's just guarding you, what's so hard about it? Black Dragon waved his claws and then said worriedly, but you've rebuilt your body and soul so quickly. If you go out now and are seen by others, I'm afraid your space-time formation will be exposed. That's true. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Only half a year had passed outside. In half a year's time, even with a peerless divine pill, it was impossible to rebuild the body and soul so quickly. It seemed that he had to think of a way to sneak out without anyone knowing. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyong had an idea. Qin Feiyong looked around and asked, Brother Black Dragon, where's the Fire Luan? It went back to the mountain range. What's wrong? Black Dragon was suspicious. I have an idea. Let it come over and guard the cave. Just like before, no one is allowed to enter. And I'll follow you and sneak out quietly. Qin Feiyong said. Good idea. Black Dragon's eyes lit up, and his body suddenly expanded. In an instant, a divine dragon of thousands of feet appeared. Then, he opened one of his dragon claws and said with a sly smile, Same old rules, hide in my palm. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded, jumped up, and landed in Black Dragon's palm. Originally, he wanted to use the concealment technique, but now it seemed that there was no need. Black Dragon clenched his claws slightly. After hiding Qin Feiyong, he shouted, Old friend, come here. Chirp. Accompanied by a sharp cry, the Fire Luan flew over like lightning. Old friend, I have something to do and have to go out. You'll guard Brother Emo here for me. Remember, before Brother Emo comes out, no one is allowed to enter. Also, you're not allowed to enter the cave and disturb him. If you provoke him and he doesn't help you transform, then don't blame me for not helping you. Black Dragon warned. I won't. Don't worry. The Fire Luan laughed. Okay. Black Dragon nodded and turned into a stream of light, breaking through the sky like lightning. The Fire Luan looked back at the cave with a trace of suspicion in its eyes. There was no aura at all. Was there anyone inside? It should be in a spatial divine object. With this thought, it lay at the entrance of the cave and scanned the surroundings with full attention, unaware that there was no one in the cave. Above the glacier, Black Dragon was as fast as lightning. Qin Feiyong asked suspiciously, Brother Black Dragon, Why does this fire Luan seem to want to curry favor with you? It's not trying to curry favor with me. It wants to curry favor with you through me. Black Dragon chuckled. Curry favor with me? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes, didn't you help me transform successfully? That's why it's envious, because it wants to transform into a phoenix. Black Dragon said. So that's the case. However, to be honest, I don't have a way to transform into a phoenix. Because I don't have the divine body of a phoenix, not even a bit of blood essence. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's not important. What's important is that it believes you can do it. In this way we can use this point to make it our own. Black Dragon laughed. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Do you think I'm a little cunning? Black Dragon asked. A little. Qin Feiyang smiled. I'm doing this for you. There are so many strong people in the Eastern continent. I'm afraid I can't protect you alone. That's why I have to find help. This Fire Luan used to live in the same place as me. I know its strength like the back of my hand. It can be said that even the elders of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance can't kill it. With its help, you'll undoubtedly be safer in the future. Black Dragon said. I see. Thank you, Brother Black Dragon. Qin Feiyang was touched. We're brothers. What are you thanking me for? Black Dragon shook his head. The speed of a great perfection sovereign was naturally not something Qin Feiyang could compare to. In just a few dozen breaths, they arrived at the border of the Kanglan Snow Mountain. Isn't this Black Dragon? Second Xing was slightly taken aback. Hey, I'm going out for a while. Open the barrier. Black Dragon stared at Second Xing without any respect. Instead, Second Xing looked at Black Dragon with a hint of fear in his eyes. Second Xing was only a great perfection sovereign, while Black Dragon was a great perfection sovereign. Moreover, it was a divine beast. Killing Second Xing could only be described in one sentence. Easy as pie. Why are you going out? Second Xing was suspicious. He knew what the Deputy Alliance Master was thinking. What if this guy ran out and didn't come back? He didn't notice Qin Feiyang, who was hiding in the dragon's claws. Chapter 3199. Do I have to report to you what I'm going to do? Black Dragon raised his eyebrows, looking extremely displeased. This second interrogation officer was a little terrified. Hurry up, or don't blame me for being rude. Black Dragon roared. Second interrogation officer sighed inwardly, and could only take out the token to open the barrier. Black Dragon left the barrier without looking back. But as Black Dragon left, second interrogation officer immediately took out the voice transmission stone. Buzz! The shadow of the deputy leader appeared quickly. What? It left the Alliance capital? Hearing second interrogation officer's report, the deputy leader immediately frowned. Yes, it left alone. Second interrogation officer nodded. Did it say where it was going? Deputy leader asked. No, I didn't dare to stop it. Second interrogation officer shook his head. The deputy leader pondered for a while and waved his hand. You don't have to worry too much about this. As long as its relationship with Mo Yuanchuan doesn't change, it won't really leave. That's true. Second interrogation officer nodded. Outside, heavy snow was falling and the cold wind was bone-chilling. Mount Kanglan was huge and the Alliance capital was located in the center of it. So even if it left the barrier, it was still in Mount Kanglan. Above a canyon, Qin Feiyang looked at Black Dragon and smiled. Brother Black Dragon, wait for me here. Don't you need me to go with you? Black Dragon was stunned. No need. Qin Feiyang shook his head and left alone, disappearing at the end of the snow mountain. So mysterious. Black Dragon muttered. But he didn't think too much about it. Back to Qin Feiyang. He did want to hide it from Black Dragon, because Qin Batian had appeared in Wind Sea City before. So if he was recognized, it might be a big problem. Although Black Dragon treated him as a brother now, but what if his identity was exposed? One had to know. His true identity couldn't be taken as a joke. If Black Dragon were to accidentally spill the beans, it would be a disaster for him. So, for safety reasons, it was better not to let Black Dragon know for now. After all, they had just met. As for the future, when he could trust Black Dragon, he would naturally take the initiative to confess. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang appeared. This is the Kanglan Snow Mountain? The two of them looked around. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, "Are you sure you don't want to reconsider? Since I've already decided, what's there to consider? Whether it's doing something or being a person, one cannot be half-hearted. Child, take care of yourself. Also, if there's a need, we can join forces with the Demon Palace," Qin Batian said. "I know what to do." Qin Feiyang nodded. "All right, we'll meet again." Qin Batian smiled and turned to leave with Lu Zhengyang. "Did you bring the Blood Demon Tower?" Qin Feiyang asked hurriedly. "Yes." The two of them smiled without even turning their heads. Then they disappeared from Qin Feiyang's sight like lightning. "Take care." Qin Feiyang looked at the void and muttered to himself. Ever since he reunited with his two ancestors, he never thought that they would be separated again. And it was so sudden. In his heart, he couldn't help but feel melancholy. Sigh. After a long time, Qin Feiyang sighed and turned to fly over the canyon. "You don't look right. Did something happen?" Black Dragon looked at him suspiciously. "No." Qin Feiyang waved his hand with a smile and asked, "Brother Black Dragon, where did you live before?" "Black Cloud Swamp," Black Dragon said. "Black Cloud Swamp?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "You may not know Black Cloud Swamp, but you should have heard of the Demon Land." Black Dragon smiled. "The Demon Land?" Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. "Wasn't that the border between the eastern and southern continents that Zhuo Tiansheng mentioned? That was a recognized forbidden area of the two continents." "The Black Cloud Swamp you mentioned, is it in the Demon Land?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "That's not it. The Black Cloud Swamp is outside the Demon Land, and people from the eastern continent have to pass through the Black Cloud Swamp to go to the Demon Land," Black Dragon explained. "So it's like that." Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. He was really shocked and then said, "Then how much do you know about the Demon Land?" "If it's the outer area, I definitely know a little, but if it's the border area, the central area, the inner area, and the core area, I'm not sure. Because I haven't gone deep into the Demon Land." Black Dragon shook his head. "There are so many areas." Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Of course. Because the Demon Land is too big. It's divided into 5 areas. They are the outer area, the border, the central area, the inner area, and the core," Black Dragon said. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. The so-called outer area meant that one hadn't entered the Demon Land. As for the border area, it was the very edge of the Demon Land. Once one stepped into the border area, it was equivalent to officially entering the Demon Land. Needless to say, the core area was the center of the Demon Land. Qin Feiyang asked, "Since the Black Cloud Swamp is the only way, then around 10,000 years ago, did you see a man and a woman?" "A man and a woman?" Black Dragon was stunned and asked, "What did they look like?" "What did they look like?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He really didn't know what the 10th elder's son and daughter-in-law looked like. "If you don't know what they look like, I really don't know how to tell you. Because every year, many people enter the border area to explore." Black Dragon laughed bitterly. "So it's like that." Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and took out the sound transmission godstone. Buzz! Very quickly, a figure appeared. It was Zhuo Tiansheng. Zhuo Tiansheng was about to call out Qin Feiyang's name, but he suddenly saw Black Dragon beside him and immediately changed his words. "Cloud Sea City Lord Zhuo Tiansheng greets young Master Imo. What do the 10th elder's son and daughter-in-law look like?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Them." Zhuo Tiansheng waved his hand, and the figures of a man and a woman appeared. Both of them looked middle-aged. The man was about 1.8 meters tall, and his body was quite thin. The most eye-catching thing was that he wore a black eye patch over his left eye. As for the woman, her appearance and temperament were not bad. "They are," Zhuo Tiansheng said. "Brother Black Dragon, have you seen them?" Qin Feiyang pointed at the two and asked Black Dragon. Black Dragon sized them up for a while, then lowered his head and pondered. 10,000 years ago. A man and a woman, and it was a one-eyed man. Suddenly, Black Dragon's eyes lit up, and he nodded. "Yes, I have a special impression of this one-eyed man." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. This person's temper is very bad, and his methods are not bad. Back then, when he passed through Black Cloud Swamp, he killed some of my underlings. I even gave the order to chase after him, so I have a deep impression of him. Black Dragon said. Then they really entered the Een Devil Land? Qin Feiyang asked. That's right. I saw them enter the Een Devil Land. Because the Een Devil Land is too dangerous, I didn't chase after them at that time. Black Dragon said. Entering the Een Devil Land, one will either obtain a great fortune or die inside. And now 10,000 years have passed, and they still haven't appeared. They are probably dead inside. Xue Tiansheng analyzed. If they really died inside, then I don't have to do anything. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, looked at Xue Tiansheng and said, then let's leave it at that for now. Xue Tiansheng nodded and turned off the voice transmission crystal. Qin Feiyang also lowered his head and pondered. There was no need to consider the 10th elder's son and daughter-in-law for now. And now he had stepped into the half-step sovereign realm. Then there were only two things left. The first was to find an opportunity to let Madman show off his strength in the Alliance capital. The second was to investigate whether the Alliance leader of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was in cahoots with the Vice leader. However, until now he had never seen this Alliance leader. How should I investigate? Qin Feiyang gradually furrowed his brows. After thinking for a long time, he really couldn't think of any good ideas. However, he had already thought of a way to deal with Madman. Forget it. Anyway, my current strength isn't enough to deal with the Blood Hall. I'll just peacefully stay in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and cultivate. Qin Feiyang secretly muttered and called Madman out. Madman had already turned into Mo Wuhui's appearance. Black Dragon looked at Madman in surprise. What are you looking at? Have you never seen a handsome guy before? Madman stared at him. Handsome guy? Black Dragon's mouth twitched and said, you have also stepped into the half-step sovereign realm. Then, your lightning law has also comprehended the fifth profound? Of course. Madman smiled proudly. Big brother Black Dragon. Let me introduce you. This is Mo Wuhui cough. He is my older brother. Qin Feiyang said unnaturally. Brother? Black Dragon asked. Then what? Madman glared at him. Black Dragon laughed dryly. I thought of a way. You, Qin Feiyang muttered in Madman's ear. Okay. Madman nodded and laughed. Qin Feiyang looked at Black Dragon and said, Big brother Black Dragon, later on you have to cooperate and say that you came out to pick up my big brother. No problem. Your big brother is also my big brother. That's not right. Why is he my big brother? Your big brother is also my brother. Everything can be discussed. Black Dragon looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang smiled and once again hid in Black Dragon's claws. Madman didn't hide and directly followed Black Dragon back to the Alliance capital. You're back? Seeing Black Dragon return so quickly, Interrogation Officer 2 couldn't help but be stunned. And immediately after, he noticed Madman beside him. This person seems to be. Interrogation Officer 2 was surprised. He didn't know much about Madman Mo Wuhui's identity. He only heard that Mo Yuan had such a big brother. And the most sensational thing was when he taught Feng Wanyun a lesson in the East City. But after that, this person disappeared without a trace. And later on, Qin Feiyang showed his ability, so much so that everyone almost forgot about this person. Interrogation Officer 2? Madman entered the barrier and sized up Interrogation Officer 2. Yes. You're Mo Yuan's big brother, Mo Wuhui. Interrogation Officer 2 asked. That's right. I heard that my brother is doing well in the Alliance capital, so I came back to benefit from it. Madman chuckled. Interrogation Officer 2 smiled bitterly. Not only was he doing well, who wouldn't be respectful when the name Mo Yuan was mentioned? He asked. So you're saying that Black Dragon went out specifically to pick you up? You can say that. Madman grinned. Chapter 3200. Second Interrogation Officer's heart skipped a beat. Black Dragon actually came to fetch Mo Wuhui personally. These two brothers had a very close relationship. However, Mo Wuhui's talent was so much worse than Mo Yuan's. Wait a minute. Suddenly, his gaze trembled as he stared at Lunatic. This aura was actually a half-step sovereign. Didn't he hear that when this person taught Feng Wanyun a lesson, he was only a small success in Perishable Realm? What was going on? Is there anything else? If not, I'll go to the Hall of Fame. Lunatic looked at second interrogation officer and asked. All right. Second interrogation officer nodded. Old Black, let's go. Madman smiled at Black Dragon. Black Dragon immediately picked up Madman and tore through the sky like lightning. Small success, imperishable realm. Half-step sovereign. How many years has it been? Could it be that he's also a low-profile monster like Imowen? Second interrogation officer looked at Lunatic's back view and muttered to himself. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and took out the voice transmission divine stone. Buzz. A virtual figure appeared. It was the deputy leader. Lord Imowuhue is back. Second interrogation officer hurriedly said. Imowuhue? That big brother of Imowen? The deputy leader was stunned. He thought for a moment and asked. That's right. It's him. Second interrogation officer nodded. So what if he's back? What's the fuss about? The deputy leader looked at him with dissatisfaction. No. Lord, I'd like to ask, what was his cultivation level when he taught Feng Wanyun a lesson in the East City? Second interrogation officer asked. His cultivation level, the deputy leader pondered for a moment and said, according to Old Man Ing, he seemed to be a small success imperishable realm cultivator. At that time, he had already comprehended the second profound meaning of the Thunder Law. Initially, he was the one who participated in the trial. However, I heard that he went out to train, so Imowuyen replaced him. Indeed, he was a small success imperishable realm cultivator. Second interrogation officer's gaze trembled. He then looked at the deputy leader and said, do you know what his cultivation level is now? He's a half-step sovereign. Half-step sovereign. The deputy leader stood up with a look of shock. That's right. I saw it with my own eyes. Second interrogation officer nodded. That's impossible. At that time, he was only at the small success stage of the undying realm. How could he have stepped into the half-step ruler realm so quickly? The vice leader murmured. Therefore, I suspect that he is also hiding his talent and strength. Second Xing said. If that's the case, then we can't ignore him. No, I have to confirm this with Old Man Ing. Back then, when this kid was teaching Feng Wanyun a lesson in the eastern part of the city, what kind of law did he use? And what kind of profundity was that? After the Vice Alliance leader finished speaking, the phantom image disappeared. At the same time, Elder Ing received a message from the Vice Alliance master. After some recollection, Elder Ing confirmed that the madman had displayed the law of lightning, and it was the second profound. Now that this matter was confirmed, the Vice Alliance master's confidence was immediately shaken. At that time, he had only comprehended the second profound. But in such a short time, he had comprehended the fifth and stepped into the half-step sovereign realm. His comprehension ability was too frightening. Back to Qin Feiyong, Madman, and Black Dragon. Did you see Second Xing's expression just now? Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. Yes. He looked like he had seen a ghost. He must have been shocked by my cultivation. Madman smiled proudly. Back in the eastern part of the city, you had only revealed the second profound. But now you have stepped into the half-step sovereign realm. How could he not be shocked? I reckon that the Vice Alliance leader has already noticed you. Qin Feiyong chuckled. That's the effect I wanted. Madman chuckled. With Black Dragon's help, they quickly returned to the Hall of the Exalted. This is the Hall of the Exalted? Madman stood above Sky Peak, suppressing his cultivation to the initial imperishable stage as he looked around. Qin Feiyong quietly returned to his cave residence. Who is this? I've never seen him before. Wait. He seems familiar. Right, I remember now. He is Imowuen's elder brother. Imowen. He doesn't seem to be a disciple of the Hall of the Exalted. Soon, some people noticed Madman and started discussing him. So what if he's not a disciple of the Hall of the Exalted? Besides, are the disciples of the Hall of the Exalted that powerful? It's not that I look down on you, but you are not even worthy of carrying my shoes. Madman looked at those people proudly. He was here to cause trouble, so he had no scruples at all. Hearing this, the group of people suddenly became angry. Do you think you can be unscrupulous and disregard the law just because you have a younger brother backing you? The Hall of the Exalted also has rules. No matter who you are, as long as you are not a disciple of the Hall of the Exalted, you cannot enter here. Emowuhue. The Hall of the Exalted is not a place for you to mess around. Leave immediately. Sure enough, a shout was heard. It was the old man in red. The old man in red rushed to the sky above Sky Peak and frowned. If you are here to visit your younger brother, then this old man will not object. But if you are here to cause trouble, then this old man will definitely not sit back and do nothing. How would I dare to do that? I just came to see how powerful the disciples of the Hall of the Exalted are. But now that I look at it, it's just SOSO. Madman smiled disdainfully. What a big tone. There was a trace of anger in the eyes of the old man in red. He was simply here to cause trouble. Of course his tone is big, but what he said is also the truth. This is just a motley crew. Fortunately, I went out to experience and did not enter the Hall of the Exalted. Otherwise, I will be disgusted to death. Madman said contemptuously. Bastard, I want to duel with you. That's right. Who do you think you are? How dare you call us a motley crew? Do you think you are your younger brother and have extraordinary talent? Countless disciples surrounded Madman angrily. Duel? You think you are worthy? Madman smiled contemptuously. Preposterous. Too arrogant. I can't stand it anymore. Even if you are Mo Yuan's elder brother, I will teach you a lesson. A disciple in the Great Perfection Eternal Realm rushed toward Madman angrily. Enough? Leave immediately. The old man in red saw this and shouted at Madman. Elder, you are a bit of a bully. Are you allowing them to be arrogant? I can't even fart? Madman was dissatisfied. You. The old man in red was furious. Can't tell that you have already caused public anger? Letting you go is for your own good. Madman didn't care. He looked at the disciple in the Great Perfection Eternal Realm and said in disdain, Get lost, I am not interested in you. Bastard, I will kill you. That disciple roared. Stop. If you want to fight, go to the fighting arena. The old man in red shouted. That's right. Let's go to the fighting arena. Mo Wuhue, if you have the guts, follow me to the fighting arena. That disciple clamored. You? You still need to go to the fighting arena? I can kill you with a breath. Madman had a look of contempt. Elder, take a look, take a look. What kind of attitude is this? That disciple was furious. The other disciples also had a look of anger. Bastard, this is Heaven Peak. How dare you behave so atrociously here? Suddenly, the woman in green and Zhao Xiaojin ran out from the cave, and the one who spoke was the woman in green. Xiaojin, long time no see. Madman waved at Zhao Xiaojin with a smile, but the woman in green ignored him. This made the woman in green very angry. Did he treat her as air? Long time no see. Zhao Xiaojin smiled. You know him? The woman in green looked at Zhao Xiaojin suspiciously. And he is Mo Yuan's elder brother, Mo Wuhue. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. So it's you. The woman in green looked at Madman and sneered. Come, 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 I will fight with you. Sister Dandan, what are you doing? If he wants to cause trouble, just let him do it. Why are you joining in the fun? Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly said. Don't bother. The woman in green waved her hand and looked at Madman provocatively. Back then, your brother didn't dare to accept my challenge. What about you now? Do you dare? You? Madman sized up the woman in green and shook his head. You are just a little girl. I can kill you with a finger. Bastard. The woman in green couldn't help but tremble in anger. Just tell me if you dare or not. I'm not interested. Get someone even stronger. Madman said indifferently. The woman in green was stunned and said with a black face, You mean to say that I am not strong? Isn't this the truth in front of you? Madman picked his nostrils. Bastard. I won't forgive you. The woman in green roared and sword chi appeared, forming a sword chi domain. This was the third profound of the sword law, sword domain. Sister Dandan, don't be rash. Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly pulled the woman in green. She was clear about Madman's background. He was also a terrifying monster. Don't stop me. The woman in green pushed Zhao Xiaojin away and controlled the sword domain to attack Madman. Mo Wuhue, be careful. She is the granddaughter of the Grand Elder. Zhao Xiaojin saw that she couldn't persuade the woman in green and looked at Madman. The granddaughter of the Grand Elder? Madman was taken aback for a moment before he chuckled. So what? Boom! The lightning law suddenly appeared and the third profound, lightning fury, was formed and blasted at the sword domain. How worrisome! The old man in red sighed. One was the granddaughter of the Grand Elder, and the other was Mo Yuan's brother. They were both people he couldn't afford to offend. Therefore, he could only set up a barrier and isolate the battlefield for the two to fight. Boom! The two profound divine abilities clashed. Madman was sent flying and blood gushed out of his mouth. This was because he had suppressed his cultivation to the initial stage of the undead realm, while the woman in green was at the peak of the undead realm. There was a difference of 3 stages between them, so even if they both had the third profundity, he was still no match for the woman in green. I thought you were strong. So that's all you have. Looks like you're really lacking compared to Mo Yuan. The surrounding disciples immediately looked at him with disdain. Although mastering the third profound at this cultivation level was considered impressive, wasn't it still lacking the qualifications to be arrogant? Seeing this, the woman in green's face was full of pride. She said indifferently, "It's nothing." Madman wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, "Little girl, aren't you celebrating too early? Your mouth is so dirty. You should be slapped." The woman in green snorted and took a step forward. She raised her hand and slapped Madman's face. Chapter 3201. Yes, that's the way to slap his face. Let him deeply understand that our Hall of the Exalted is not a place where he can behave atrociously. The surrounding disciples were all waiting to watch a good show. However, just as the woman in green's slap was about to land on Madman's face, Madman suddenly grinned and raised his arm like lightning, grabbing the woman in green's wrist. "With your cultivation you think you can catch me?" The woman in green was disdainful. But when she tried to break free, she was immediately dumbfounded. The other party's big hand was like a steel clamp, grabbing her wrist. Not to mention breaking free, she couldn't even move. Madman grinned and laughed non-stop. The woman in green looked up and found that Madman's face was full of playfulness. "Little girl, you're too arrogant. You want to slap my face in front of everyone?" Madman opened his mouth and the ridicule on his face became even stronger. His 5 fingers slightly exerted force and the woman in green's wrist suddenly felt a shattering pain. What's going on? The surrounding disciples looked at this scene with a look of surprise. One was at the small success immortal realm and the other was at the great perfection immortal realm. There was a difference of 3 small realms, but she couldn't compare to the other party. Pain. The woman in green's face began to turn pale. Because Madman's strength was increasing, the bones in her wrist began to crack and drop of blood flowed out. Emowe, quickly stop. Zhao Xiaojin was burning with anxiety. This guy was indeed pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. However, Madman turned a deaf ear and stared at the woman in green. He smiled and said, "What? Great Elder's granddaughter only has this much strength? It seems that this Hall of the Exalted is indeed not much. Anyone can enter. Let go of me." The woman in green was ashamed and angry. "Then beg me." Madman looked at her teasingly. "In your dreams." The woman in green was also very stubborn. "All right, I'd like to see how long you can hold on for." Madman chuckled and increased the strength of his hand. "Gotcha." The woman in green's wrist suddenly cracked and blood gushed out. The intense pain made her face as pale as paper. Let go of her. But at this moment, a white-robed young man broke through the air like a bolt of lightning and landed outside the barrier. His eyes were filled with anger. "It's Muziu. He's older than Yi Tian, and he's a half-step sovereign. I heard that he has already grasped 3 types of laws, and he has even comprehended the 5th profundity of the laws of darkness. That's not the important point. The important point is that this person has always been secretly in love with the Great Elder's granddaughter." People were discussing in low voices. Madman heard everything and looked at Muziu. He teased, "You want to play the hero and save the beauty? What's wrong with bullying a woman? Come at me if you dare. I'll let you have 3 rounds first." Muziu coldly looked at Madman. Haha, Madman laughed and sent the green-clothed woman flying with a palm strike. He turned around and said to Mu Ziyu, "Then come. Sister Dandan, are you all right?" Zhao Xiaojin ran up to the green-clothed woman and asked with concern. "I'm fine." The green-clothed woman shook her head and stared at the madman while cursing him. "Elder, may I enter?" Mu Ziyu looked at the red-clothed old man and pointed at the barrier. The red-clothed old man glanced at the arrogant and despotic madman and nodded. "Go in." It was also a good opportunity to teach this kid a lesson. Hearing this, Mu Ziyu took a step into the barrier. The laws of darkness roared out like a raging wave, emitting a monstrous aura as it charged at the madman. "Half-step ruler." Madman chuckled and released his aura in an instant. "What? His aura? He's also a half-step ruler." Everyone's eyes widened in anger. The red-clothed old man and the green-clothed woman were the same. So fast. There was a trace of shock in Zhao Xiaojin's eyes. She guessed that the madman's strength was definitely stronger than before, but she didn't expect that he had already stepped into the half-step ruler realm. In other words, the madman had already comprehended the fifth profundity of a law. This speed was too terrifying, wasn't it? It wasn't inferior to Qin Feiyong at all. At the same time, Mu Ziyu's expression also had a trace of shock. "Half-step ruler, so what?" The madman grinned, and the laws of lightning surged out, surging toward the laws of darkness. Boom! The two great laws collided with a loud bang. The two immediately took a step back each. "It's the laws of lightning," the red-clothed old man muttered. Mu Ziyu's laws of darkness had already comprehended the fifth profundity, and the madman's laws of lightning could compete with Mu Ziyu's laws of darkness. Clearly, the madman had comprehended the fifth profundity of the laws of lightning. They both grasped the laws of lightning, as expected of brothers. There are strong and weak half-step rulers. If there's only one law, then it's undoubtedly the weakest. And now I've grasped 3 laws. After Mu Ziyu calmed down, he smiled disdainfully at the madman, and 3 laws appeared. The first was the laws of darkness. The other 2 were the laws of fire and the laws of earth. Furthermore, those 2 types of law energies had both reached the second level of profoundness. "Are you showing off?" The madman was stunned. "If you think so, then I won't object." Mu Ziyu smiled proudly and didn't forget to glance at the green-clothed woman, as if to say to her, "Don't worry, I'll definitely avenge you and make him kneel in front of everyone and apologize to you." "Showing off your laws in front of me?" The madman was stunned. Was this a joke? He didn't dare to say anything else, but in terms of laws other than Qin Feiyong, no one could catch his eye. Of course, this was only limited to people of the same generation. There was no way to compare with people of the older generation. "If you take the initiative to apologize to Miss Dandan now, I can be merciful." Mu Ziyu looked at the madman as if victory was already in his hands. That arrogant attitude made the madman finally unable to hold back and laugh. What is he laughing about? Could it be that he's still not convinced? Isn't this the truth right in front of your eyes? Everyone looked at the madman suspiciously. The green-clothed woman also had a face of disgust. She had never seen such an arrogant person. But the red-clothed old man frowned. Why was he so confident? Could it be that this kid was like Mo Yuanyuan hiding his strength? Mu Ziyu raised his eyebrows and looked at the madman. "Laughing can't hide your current situation." Haha, the madman laughed even more merrily. Mu Ziyu gradually lost his patience. The power of the 3 laws turned into 3 giant dragons and charged at the madman with monstrous might. "You want to perform in front of that little girl, that's right. After all, you're all men, so it's understandable. But you've picked the wrong target. Competing with me in terms of laws will only make you more embarrassed. Open your little eyes and watch carefully. My brother isn't the only genius in this world." The madman took a step forward and the law of thunder rolled out. Following closely, the law of war, law of slaughter and law of darkness roared out. Moreover, he had already comprehended the 4th profound of the law of slaughter, and the 3rd profound of the law of war. Even for the law of darkness that he had just comprehended some time ago, he had already comprehended the 2nd profound. Boom! The 4 laws were like 4 giant dragons as they roared in all directions and blasted towards Mu Ziyu's law. Whether it was quantity or quality, the madman surpassed Mu Ziyu. There was no suspense. Mu Ziyu's law was shattered on the spot as his entire body flew out with blood flowing out. He actually grasped 4 types of law. Not to mention the other disciples. Even the woman in green couldn't remain calm. What's the big deal about 4 types of law? The madman smiled proudly as a sacred light emerged. This was the law of light. What? 5 types of law. Everyone was dumbfounded. Inside the cave, sensing the madman's law of light, Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. What's going on? When did this guy comprehend the law of light? Could it be that what he inherited from the temple was the law of light? Wait a minute. It shouldn't be. If it was the law of light, there was no need for the madman to hide it from them, because the law of light couldn't be considered the strongest law of light. Xiaoxian, when did senior brother madman comprehend the law of light? Qin Feiyang couldn't figure it out and sent a voice transmission to Zhuo Xiaoxian. Him. He comprehended the law of light after the exchange. And he's not the only one. The others have benefited greatly too. For example, I've comprehended the law of water. However, sister-in-law is the most impressive one. She has comprehended 2 types of law. Together with her original law of life, she now has 3 types of law. Zhuo Xiaoxian explained. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. It seemed like the exchange was quite useful after all. In other words, basically everyone has mastered more than 2 types of law? Qin Feiyang asked. That's right. Qin Monarch and Yang Monarch have also comprehended 2 types of law after leaving, but I don't know what they are. Zhuo Xiaoxian replied. Not bad, it seems like the exchange will be held more often in the future. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. He was quite satisfied with the outcome. He then said, Senior brother madman has been hiding the law of light. Do you know what it is? I don't know. I've asked him, but he refused to tell me. He said he would definitely give us a surprise in the future. However, I do know one thing. It seems like he has comprehended the 4th profound of the law of light. Zhuo Xiaoxian's tone was filled with a hint of dissatisfaction. What? The 4th profound? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The 5th profound of the law of thunder, the 4th profound of the law of slaughter, and the 4th profound of the law of light. Overall, senior brother madman had surpassed him. Apart from the law of thunder, he had only comprehended the 4th profound of the law of causality. The rest of the laws were only at the 3rd profound. It seemed like he had to work harder. Outside, the place fell into a dead silence. Everyone stared at madman in astonishment. 5 types of law of light. This was another monster. Even Zhao Xiaojin, who was familiar with Qin Feiyang and madman, could not help but exclaim in his heart. One Qin Feiyang was already enough. Now, another madman had appeared. How were the others supposed to live? Chapter 3202. So what if he has 5 types of laws? He still can't compare to his younger brother, Mo Yuanyuan. After all, Mo Yuanyuan has mastered 7 types of laws. Someone said sourly. This was obviously envy, jealousy, and hatred. Madman laughed. My brother is indeed powerful. But do you really think that I have mastered 5 types of laws? What? Listening to what he said, he is still hiding the power of laws. Everyone was surprised. Could it be that he was the same as Mo Yuanyuan and also mastered 7 types of laws? Is there a hidden law or not? I have no comment. But even so, my 5 types of laws are enough to kill all of you so-called monstrous geniuses. Madman looked at everyone with disdain, and no one refuted. Because this was the truth. The strongest disciple in the Hall of the Exalted was a small stage dominator. And a small stage dominator could at most master 3 or 4 types of laws. The most important thing was that this person was young. His future achievements would definitely be higher. Still want to fight? Madman glanced at Mu Ziyu, his eyes full of playfulness. Mu Ziyu's pupil shrank. He was afraid. Madman's strength was in front of him, and he had far surpassed him. And there was also Qin Feiyang. Not to mention the talent of these two, even if Mo Yuanyuan had the vice leader behind him. If these two held a grudge because of today's matter, wouldn't it be easy for them to target him in the future? But if he were to admit defeat now, what about his face? He would definitely be laughed at. The most important thing was that the green-clothed woman was still here. If he were to admit defeat, she would definitely look down on him in the future. not to mention capturing her heart. Now he was riding a tiger and couldn't get off. It was hard to choose. Madman, of course, could see Muziyu's current mood. He grinned. Just treat it as a spar. There is no winner or loser. And Muziyu was taken aback. Was he giving him a way out? Madman looked at him indifferently. That gaze was very obvious. Be tactful and don't embarrass yourself. Go down the stairs. Muziyu looked at Madman gratefully before turning around and leaving without looking back. Although the two ended up reconciling, anyone with a discerning eye knew that Madman was deliberately giving Muziyu a way out. So in the future, Muziyu would definitely be talked about. Muziyu was also clear about this point. However, compared to being humiliated in public and even losing his life, this was nothing. This place is really boring, I'd better leave. Madman glanced at the Hall of the Exalted, shook his head and left. Wait. Suddenly, the red-clothed old madman's voice sounded. Madman, madman. Madman frowned and said, but I heard that to enter the Hall of the Exalted, one has to pass a trial, and the trial grounds, Madman said. The red-clothed old man chuckled. You can do that? Madman was stunned, but at the same time, he looked around with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. Why hadn't the big shots of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance appeared yet? Could it be that his talent wasn't enough to attract these people? That's right. He had done this in order to attract the attention of the authorities. However, not a single one of them had shown up. Forget it. I'm really not interested in the Hall of the Exalted, especially those arrogant people who claim to be geniuses. Just looking at them makes me annoyed. Madman pretended to hesitate for a while and shook his head. Who are you talking about? The green-clothed woman glared at him. Isn't it obvious? I'm talking about all the disciples in the Hall of the Exalted. Of course, except for my brother. Madman chuckled. Bastard. Even if his talent is amazing, you can't say that about everyone. Who can make a move and teach him a lesson? Someone shouted. However, no one made a move. There were a few low-stage sovereigns in the crowd. With their cultivation, they were confident in fighting with Madman, but they didn't make a move. Because the higher one's cultivation, the smarter one was. Madman's talent had been revealed. His future was limitless and might even surpass them. As for Qin Feiyang, there was even less of a need. Not only was his talent amazing, but he was also the disciple of the Vice Alliance leader. Thus, these two brothers weren't people they could provoke. Don't send me off. Madman waved his hand without turning his head and left. He was deliberately provoking the big shots. But even so, none of the big shots showed up. Could it be that the talent he displayed wasn't enough to attract them? If that was the case, then wouldn't he have wasted so much time? No. He had to get his hands on a legendary heaven-defying treasure. Before I leave, I'll give all of you so-called monstrous geniuses a big gift. Madman suddenly stopped and said without turning his head. Big gift? What do you mean? Everyone was puzzled. Boom! A monstrous aura suddenly rushed out of Madman's body. This aura contained a terrifying aura of death. At this moment, he was like a god of death that had returned. The fourth profound of the law of death, god of death's descent. Just as everyone was bewildered, Madman's voice sounded again. The law of death? Everyone present was shocked. They quickly looked up and saw a gray power of law rushing out of Madman's body. The aura of death grew stronger and shrouded the entire Hall of the Exalted. Everyone couldn't help but tremble. It felt as if they had fallen into the abyss of hell. An unresolvable fear emerged uncontrollably from the depths of their hearts. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, a statue of the god of death appeared above Madman's head. The statue was wearing a black robe and black fog surged around it. It held a pitch-black giant scythe in its hand that emitted a dazzling light. The fourth profound of the law of death. The red-clothed old man was dumbfounded. This was one of the strongest laws in the world. Not only did this kid master the law of death, but he had also comprehended the fourth profound. The strongest law. Anyone who grasped an ultimate law would become an overlord in the future, no matter how weak they were. No, this kid must stay in the Hall of the Exalted. He was the same as Emoun. They were both existences that could change the fate of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. This gift is not to show off, but to remind you that there is always someone better. Don't think that you are a genius just because you have some talent. You will only be laughed at. Madman laughed and waved his hand. The god of death swung the giant scythe in its hand and charged toward the hall of the exalted disciples. Retreat! The imperishable realm disciples hurriedly fled in fear. At the same time, a Dominator Realm disciple stepped forward and activated the fourth profound of the Law of Gold to attack the God of Death. With a loud rumble, the fourth profundity of the Law of Metal was shattered without any suspense. They are both using the fourth profound, but the difference is too big. Yeah, it's a complete suppression. Is this the power of the strongest law? It is indeed terrifying. Everyone was shocked. The Dominator Realm disciple who attacked was also shocked. He had long heard that the strongest laws were stronger than other laws. Now that he had seen it, it was indeed so. Boom! He activated the fifth profound of the Law of Gold and charged toward the God of Death. At this moment, only then did the Grim Reaper's statue dissipate. Strong. If only I could comprehend an ultimate law. Everyone had a look of envy. That's it then, goodbye. Madman smiled proudly and took another step forward. Wait! The old man in red hurriedly shouted and immediately rushed in front of Madman. What else do you want? Madman frowned. You can't leave. The old man in red shook his head. Can't leave? What kind of logic is this? Madman was stunned. The old man in red did not answer. He looked at the peak of the Deacon Hall and said, Everyone, how long are you going to stay here? It's time to come out. Madman looked up and saw 11 figures at the peak of the mountain. They were the vice leader, the Hall of Famers, and the 9 elders. At this moment, they were all shocked and could not recover for a long time. Mo Wu Yuan had mastered the strongest law, the law of cause and effect. And Mo Wu Hui had also mastered the strongest law, the law of death. What kind of monsters were these brothers? It was fine if it was just one monster, but both of them were so monstrous. That's right. They had arrived a long time ago. They had been hiding their aura and observing Madman. And just as Madman had guessed, the 5 types of laws were not enough to enter their eyes. Because there was already a Qin Feiyang in front of them. 7 types of laws including the law of cause and effect. So in comparison, the 5 types of laws that Madman had displayed before were nothing. Of course, if there was no Qin Feiyang in front of them, even if Madman did not reveal the law of death, it would be enough to cause a commotion. But now it was different. The law of death was the strongest law in the world. And this child had already comprehended the 4th profound. He was only 1 step away from the 5th profound. And in addition to the law of death, this child's law of slaughter had also comprehended the 4th profound. In other words, as long as he worked hard, he would soon step into the early stage Dominator realm. And in some aspects this person was better than Qin Feiyang. Because Qin Feiyang had only comprehended the law of cause and effect to the 4th profound. What are you guys still standing there for? The old man in red roared. Finally, all the big shots quivered and immediately rushed over, surrounding the madman. Madman looked at these people in astonishment and frowned. Are you guys planning to gang up on me? Hearing this, the vice leader and the others' mouths twitched. With your monstrous talent, who would be willing to gang up on you? Mo Wu Hui, right? The Hall of Famers looked at Madman with a smile. What do you want? Let me tell you, I have no interest in men, especially an old man like you. Madman covered his chest with both hands and stared at the Hall of Famers vigilantly. Hearing this, the Hall of Famers' face turned black. Is this kid sick? What is he thinking? Chapter 3203. How could Frenzy not know what these people wanted to do? But he just had to play dumb. Previously they didn't show up, but now that he showed the law of death, they all came out one by one. How could they let him stay in the Hall of Famers? Mo Wu Hui, your brother has become my personal disciple. You should know that, right? The vice leader chuckled. I know. Frenzy nodded. Old man Yi, what are you trying to do? It's not enough to have Mo Wu Hui, and you still want to snatch him? Let me tell you, one must know how to be content. The palace master of the Hall of the Exalted glared at the deputy alliance master. This is because I cherish talents. The vice leader chuckled. Don't say such high-sounding words to this old man. Anyway, others are qualified to snatch him, but you are not. The Hall of Famers snorted. You have to make your words clear. I am the vice leader of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. How can I not be qualified? The vice leader was also angry. Because you already have a disciple. Why are you still snatching him? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? The Hall of Famers said angrily. Laughed at? That doesn't exist. If those brothers become my disciples, I don't know how many people will be envious. The vice leader smiled faintly. Shameless. The Hall of Famers' face was full of contempt. Cough cough. Can we really snatch him? At this time the great elder spoke. The other elders also looked at the Hall of Famers expectantly. The Hall of Famers heard this and glared fiercely. Look at this old man's eyes. Can you understand? The 9 of them smiled bitterly. They knew it had nothing to do with them. Emouhue. This old man doesn't like to beat around the bush. Come and be my disciple. This old man has mastered the law of time. If you follow this old man will teach you everything. One day when you comprehend the law of time, you will have mastered the 2 strongest laws. The Hall of Famers took the lead in tempting him. Law of time? Frenzy was slightly stunned and suddenly couldn't help but be tempted. Everyone knew that experience was the most important thing. Even if he didn't need it, it could still help the Fire Lotus because the Fire Lotus had grasped the law of time. If he could get an explanation and experience about the laws of time, it would definitely be of great use to the Fire Lotus. Emouhue, you can't be too greedy when it comes to the laws of death. It's already very impressive that you could fully comprehend the laws of death. This is something that I can help you with. The vice leader smiled confidently. Help me? Madman was stunned. That's right. To tell you the truth, I've also mastered the law of death. The vice leader said in a low voice. What? Madman was shocked. This old thing actually grasped death law. Don't listen to him. You can't be greedy. That's only for ordinary people. With your talent, you don't need to consider such things at all. Besides, no matter how powerful the laws of death are, how can they be more practical than the laws of time? Look at this Hall of Fame. If it wasn't for this old man using the laws of time to set up the time array, how could these disciples improve so quickly? So, in terms of merit, in terms of contribution to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, this old man is much more than some old things. The Hall of Famers smiled proudly. That's true. Madman nodded. I'm really envious. Yeah. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance has been established for so many years, but this is the first time I've seen such a scene. The vice leader and the hall master are fighting to take in disciples, and the great elder and the rest obviously have the same idea. Unfortunately, in front of the vice leader and the hall master, they can only stand aside. The surrounding disciples looked at Madman with envy. This was a kind of glory. Although the vice leader and the Hall of Famers had also fought over Qin Feiyang, they didn't know about it, so this was the first time they saw such a scene. At the same time, the vice leader stared at Madman and said, What's right? The time array is indeed more practical, but is it useful when facing the enemy? When facing the enemy, it's still necessary to have a powerful method. As for the law of death, you've already comprehended the 4th profound. I believe you don't need me to tell you how powerful it is. It's much stronger than the law of time. After the vice leader finished speaking, he didn't forget to look at the Hall of Famers with disdain. What? Much stronger than the law of time. Old man Yi, I'm not convinced by your words. Why don't we go to the fighting arena and see who's stronger? The Hall of Famers said with a cold face. Sure, I'm not afraid of you. The vice leader sneered. Then let's go. The Hall of Famers shouted. The great elder hurriedly went forward and persuaded them. I say, the 2 of you. There are so many disciples watching. Can you not be so embarrassing? The 2 of them were slightly stunned. They looked at the surrounding disciples and shouted in unison. What are you looking at? Do you think you can compare with Emouyuan and Emouhue? Hurry up and go cultivate. The group of disciples shrank their necks and immediately turned to flee. But in their hearts they felt wronged. If you want to fight, then fight. Why are you venting your anger on us? Disciples also have human rights, okay? The great elder shook his head and sighed. The 2 of you should stop fighting. First, ask Emouhue's opinion. Because until now, he hasn't said that he wants to be your disciple. The two of them were stunned and immediately looked at Frenzy at the same time. Frenzy's eyes flashed and he said with a smile, I'm really not interested in being your personal disciple. Goodbye. The two of them froze. The great elder and the others were also stunned. Not interested. You can't leave. When they came back to their senses, the old man in red immediately stopped Frenzy. Elder, what do you mean? If I don't agree today, I won't be able to leave the hall? Frenzy raised his eyebrows. Don't be angry, don't be angry. It's a good thing that the vice leader and the hall master want you as their disciple. Think about it, if you agree, then in the future won't you be able to do whatever you want? Let's talk about it later. Your younger brother has already become the vice leader's disciple. Whether it is resources or connections, he is now stronger than you. So if no one helps you, then your younger brother will surpass you sooner or later. The old man in red pulled Frenzy to the side and whispered, That seems to make sense. Frenzy nodded. What do you mean it seems to make sense? The old man in red rolled his eyes at him. Then give me a suggestion. Who should I choose? Frenzy asked softly. In terms of selfishness, I definitely want you to choose my big brother. After all, your younger brother is already the vice leader's disciple. Then my big brother can't be left out. And I also understand my big brother. Even if you two choose the vice leader, he won't take his anger out on you, but his self-esteem will definitely be hurt. But I still have to respect your choice. I just hope that our Rogue Cultivator Alliance can develop in a balanced manner. The old man in red smiled. The so-called balance was actually hinting at the vice leader and the Hall of Famers. If Qin Feiyong and Frenzy both became the vice leader's disciples, then this balance would no longer exist. Moreover, the future achievements of the two would definitely not be low. At that time the vice leader could rely on his two disciples, Qin Feiyong and Frenzy, to suppress the Hall of Famers. This was not what the old man in red wanted to see. Although he knew that his big brother was not interested in things like power as his younger brother, he definitely had to think more about it. In short, he couldn't let the vice leader dominate. That makes sense. Frenzy pondered for a while, then turned his head to look at the vice leader and the Hall of Famers, and said, I agree, but I heard that my brother got a lot of treasures from your hands. Why can't you favor one and discriminate against the other? This was his ultimate goal. When the two heard this, they were stunned. If you don't give it to me, then it means that you look down on me. If you look down on me, then why would I ask for trouble and run to become your disciple? Frenzy pursed his lips. This is a small matter. As long as you agree, this old man will immediately give it to you. The Hall of the Exalted Lord was the first to express his stance. He took out a long iron box and two palm-sized jade boxes. Frenzy's eyes suddenly lit up as he nodded and said, Then it's decided. Master, please take care of me in the future. The Hall of Famers smiled. The vice leader was stunned. He agreed just like that? He hadn't expressed his opinion yet. The Hall of Famers looked at the vice leader and smiled proudly. Old man Yi, if you continue to poach him now, then you really won't be honest. The vice leader's face darkened. Originally he really wanted to fight for it, but when he heard this he was at his wit's end. Because it was true. Frenzy had already agreed. If he continued to poach him, then it would mean that he wasn't a good person. At that time not only the Hall of Famers, but even the elders would despise him. What a pity! Why didn't he rush to express his opinion in front of the Hall of Famers? He missed such a monstrous disciple just like that. You're good enough. You have Mo Fengyuan and I have Mo Wuhui. It's the best of both worlds. Besides, if Mo Wuhui really follows you, do you have the energy to teach so many people? Don't forget you still have a grandson. The Hall of Famers said. All right. Stop nagging. I didn't say that I would continue to poach him. The vice leader glared at the Hall of Famers, then looked at Frenzy and smiled. You brothers are the future pillars of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Work hard. Although you didn't become my disciple, if there's anything you don't understand in the future, you can always ask me. Okay. Frenzy nodded. Then that's it. Dismissed. The vice leader waved his hand and turned to leave. The 9 elders looked at the Hall of Famers enviously and also turned to leave. When would they be able to find such an outstanding disciple? After the Hall of Famers watched the vice leader and the 9 elders leave, he looked at Frenzy and smiled. Kid, you have good taste. If you follow me, I guarantee that your future will be worry-free. That's secondary. I'm really interested in the law of time. Why don't you explain it to me now? Frenzy put away the metal box and the 2 jade boxes and asked sneakily. Sure. Let's go. The Hall of Famers chuckled and brought Frenzy to the square where the exit of the trial grounds was. Chapter 3204. As expected of blood brothers, they have hidden it so well. The green-robed woman stood in front of the cave and looked at the back of Madman. She then looked at the 3rd cave, her eyes filled with indignation. Sister Dandan, why do I feel that you seem to be prejudiced against them? They don't seem to have done anything to you. Zhao Xiaojin looked suspiciously at the green-robed woman. Anyway, I just don't like them. The green-robed woman snorted and returned to the cave. Zhao Xiaojin smiled helplessly, glanced at the 3rd cave and also entered the cave. Black Dragon was also watching the show. After everyone left, he couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. What kind of monsters were Mo Yuan and Mo Wuhui? Then, it turned and flew to the front of the cave, looked at Huoluan and said, You've worked hard. It's nothing. Huoluan quickly smiled. Alright then, I'll go in first. You continue to guard and don't let anyone in. With that said, the Black Dragon entered the cave abode. What about me? Huoluan hurriedly asked. Don't worry, I remember everything. I'll help you ask Mo Yuan later. Black Dragon smiled without looking back. After entering the cave, he saw Qin Feiyong sitting alone in front of the tea table with his head lowered in contemplation. What are you thinking about? Black Dragon waved his claws and set up a barrier around the cave as he looked at Qin Feiyong and asked. Cough cough. I'm thinking about this big brother of mine. He actually mastered the law of death. Qin Feiyong's expression was also filled with shock. Aren't you blood brothers? How come you don't even know his law of death? Black Dragon was stunned and looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyong. I've asked him before, but he has always been mysterious. If he wasn't forced to reveal it this time, I don't know how long he would hide it from me. Qin Feiyong gritted his teeth and said. Forced to? Black Dragon was stunned and said in surprise, could it be that he deliberately revealed it? In order to obtain those heaven-defying treasures from the Hall of Famers? Qin Feiyong nodded. You 2 brothers are really cunning. Black Dragon shook his head and smiled bitterly. Same here. Qin Feiyong chuckled. Speaking of which, what should we do with the Fire Luan? Black Dragon asked. Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and said, let it in. All right. The Black Dragon nodded. With a wave of its claw, the enchantment dissipated. It said to the door, Brother Huoluan, come in quickly. Whoosh! Huoluan immediately ran in. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. Don't be so excited. I don't have a way to make your bloodline reach ancestral awakening yet. No way. Huoluan was stunned. That's right. I don't want to hide it from you. I really have no choice. So now you have 2 paths. First, you continue to follow me. I'll think of something. Second, leave. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance is not a place where you ferocious beasts can stay for long. It's best if you all leave. Qin Feiyong smiled. You're quite honest. Huoluan looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. I've always been very sincere to ferocious beasts because there are many ferocious beasts around me, and even divine beasts. So I understand you. Although you're ferocious by nature, you're also straightforward. As long as you recognize a friend, you'll never betray them. Qin Feiyong smiled. Even the Black Dragon was a little surprised by these words. It didn't expect this human to know so much about them. Huoluan asked, what kind of divine beasts do you have around you? Many. 5-clawed golden dragon, blood Kirin, and white jade Kirin. I also know a hellhound and a fire Kirin. Of course, there's also Brother Black Dragon. Qin Feiyong smiled. So many. Huoluan was surprised. I've seen divine beasts before, so naturally there are more. You might not know, but I've seen a whole group of dragons before. There are countless mystical dragons in the dragon clan, such as black dragons, white dragons, golden dragons, silver dragons, and so on. Qin Feiyong said. Dragons. Not only Huoluan, but even the black dragon was shocked. Haven't you heard of dragons? Qin Feiyong looked at them suspiciously. No. The two beasts shook their heads. Qin Feiyong frowned without leaving a trace. Were there really no dragons in the Sky Cloud realm? But that's not right. There were dragons in the ancient realm, so why weren't there any in the Sky Cloud realm? Could it be that dragons were born in the ancient realm? But this didn't make sense, because there was also the ice dragon. Now that the situation was confirmed, the ice dragon should be in the Sky Cloud realm. Since the ice dragon was in the Sky Cloud realm, there should be dragons in the Sky Cloud realm. What the hell was going on? Also, the celestial dragon godsword and the ice dragon sacred sword, the two sovereign divine weapons, had now appeared in the blood hall. Then would the dragons, revered dragon and princess dragons also be in the blood hall? Blood hall. It seemed that he had to find an opportunity to investigate this situation. Shaking his head, Qin Feiyong looked at Huoluan and said with a smile, I won't force you. You decide. You don't have to worry because no matter what decision you make, it won't affect our relationship. Huoluan was hesitant. There was no other way. Logically speaking, there was no need to continue staying here. However, this person was able to transform the black dragon, which meant that his ability was certain. Maybe he could find a way in the future? If he left like this, wouldn't he miss this opportunity? Why not stay and see the situation first? Huoluan pondered for a while and finally made a decision. How about this? I'll follow you first. If there's no other way, I'll leave. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded. As long as Huoluan stayed, he had a way to make Fire Lotus not leave in the future. Just as the Black Dragon said, Huoluan was a paragon sovereign. Keeping it by his side would definitely be of great use. Now go and send the other beasts out, lest they become the thugs of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Qin Feiyong said. The other beasts weren't weak either. If they continued to stay in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, they would become a member sooner or later. This wouldn't be good for him in the future. Old brother Emo, from what you said, why do I feel that you don't like the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? The Black Dragon looked at him suspiciously. Because if it were other members of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, they would be more than happy to have them stay. After all, they could strengthen the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. It's not that I don't like the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. I just don't want them to become cannon fodder for the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Qin Feiyong smiled. So that's how it is. This emperor didn't misjudge you. You're a pretty good human. The Black Dragon laughed. You flatter me. I'm just putting myself in their shoes. Beasts also have life and dignity. Why should they become cannon fodder for a human? Qin Feiyong said. The Black Dragon and Huoluan looked at each other. If they hadn't seen with their own eyes that this person was a human, they would have suspected if this person was a beast. Go. Qin Feiyong smiled. Okay. The two beasts turned and rushed out of the cave, disappearing at lightning speed. Qin Feiyong also followed behind the entrance of the cave, setting up a lightning barrier. Then, he entered the Black Tortoise world and stood in front of the ancient castle with a thoughtful look. Ancient castle, where are the Black Dragon's heavenly tribulations? After a while, he asked. That time, the Black Dragon's heavenly tribulations had all disappeared in the ancient castle. No one would believe that they had disappeared from the world. Therefore, they should be hidden somewhere in the ancient castle. In a cultivation room on the second floor. These heavenly tribulations are very powerful. Don't mess around. The voice of the ancient castle sounded. Qin Feiyong immediately closed his eyes. Soon, he found the missing heavenly tribulations in a cultivation room on the second floor. But now, there were only 8 heavenly tribulations inside. Each of them emitted a terrifying aura. If it wasn't for the stone door of the cultivation room, the entire Black Tortoise world would be finished. That's not right. Why are there only 8 heavenly tribulations? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. He clearly remembered that when he comprehended the 5th profound, all the heavenly tribulations disappeared in the ancient castle. Although he didn't pay much attention to it, there should be at least 80 to 90 heavenly tribulations. I merged all the heavenly tribulations together, and then divided them into 8. Now, I have good control over the power of these 8 heavenly tribulations. Each of them is enough to instantly kill a perfect sovereign. This is specially prepared for you. Otherwise, when you meet such a powerful enemy in the future, you won't have the power to fight back. The ancient castle said. Each of them can instantly kill a perfect sovereign? Qin Feiyong was dumbfounded. That's right. But the opponent must be unprepared and be caught off guard. If the opponent is well prepared, they will at most be seriously injured. The ancient castle said. That's still very powerful. Qin Feiyong exclaimed. This meant that he had 8 trump cards. Although it was only a one-time use, he was satisfied. After all, he could seriously injure a perfect sovereign. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and asked, then if I change these 8 heavenly tribulations into one, how powerful will it be? Then it will definitely be stronger. Even if a perfect sovereign is protected by a supreme heaven-defying divine artifact, it will still be able to instantly kill him. However, if you want to use it to deal with a sovereign weapon, it's still far from enough. The ancient castle said. I know that. Qin Feiyong nodded. If the power of this heavenly tribulation was comparable to a sovereign weapon, the ancient castle wouldn't be able to block it at all, let alone being sealed in the cultivation room. In any case, this is just a precautionary measure. You have to rely on yourself for everything. Becoming stronger is your greatest capital. The ancient castle warned. What it meant was that Qin Feiyong shouldn't rely too much on these external things. Understood. Qin Feiyong nodded and then asked, did you already know that senior brother Frenzy grasped the law of death? Of course. He was cultivating in seclusion in my body. How could I not know? The ancient castle said. Then why didn't you tell me? Qin Feiyong wasn't satisfied. We respect the privacy of others. The ancient castle said indifferently. You should know about the white-eyed wolf situation, right? Qin Feiyong asked. The ancient castle responded. All right, I won't ask anymore. Anyway, I will know sooner or later. Qin Feiyong smiled helplessly. Even if he asked, the ancient castle wouldn't tell him. Why waste his breath? Next, he entered the cultivation room and began to ponder about the karma law and the other 5 laws. Chapter 3205. A large number of beasts leaving the Rogue Cultivator Alliance would naturally cause a commotion. However, with Black Dragon and Fire Luan around, no one dared to stop them. For the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, the other beasts weren't important. Even Fire Luan didn't matter. The most important thing was that Black Dragon didn't leave. After all, a divine beast was still very meaningful to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. After sending away all the beasts, Black Dragon and Fire Luan didn't immediately return to the Hall of the Famers. Instead, they wandered around the Azure Wave Snow Mountain. Because the Azure Wave Snow Mountain was still very unfamiliar to them. 2 days later, Madman finally returned to the Hall of the Famers. After entering the Black Tortoise realm, he immediately found Fire Lotus and told her everything about the time law he got from the Fire Lotus. This was undoubtedly a good fortune for Fire Lotus, so she was very grateful to Madman and immediately went into seclusion. 2 days outside and 2,000 years have passed here. How's your comprehension of the law? Huh? Madman looked at Qin Feiyong and snickered. Don't be so proud. Isn't it just mastering the death law? I also have the cause and effect law, okay? Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Then this daddy has already comprehended the 4th profound of the slaughter law. What about you? Madman chuckled. Qin Feiyong helplessly shook his head and said, there's something we need to discuss. What is it? Madman was suspicious. What is our purpose in coming to the Sky Cloud realm? Qin Feiyong asked. Rescue the Sword Emperor, Mermaid Emperor, Black Wing Emperor, White Wing Emperor, and investigate your ancestors' background. Also find the small beast and take back Chang Shui. Of course, Revered Dragon naturally won't let it go. Madman said one by one. Yes. But now, it's not the same for us to stay in the Eastern continent. So these 2 days I pondered about it. Now that both of us have stepped into the half-step dominator realm, although it's still far from the Blood Hall, it shouldn't be a problem for us to protect ourselves. Why don't we go to the Western continent and take a look? Qin Feiyong asked. This Madman pondered. This was no child's play. It would be fine if the Blood Hall only had one sovereign divine weapon. But now, both of the dragon's sovereign divine weapons were in the blood hall. If they really fought, they would be the ones to suffer. Logically speaking, staying in the eastern continent and keeping a low profile was the wisest choice. When they were all strong enough, who would be afraid of whom? However, if he really had to wait until he broke through to become a paragon dominator before going to the western continent, who knew how long he would have to wait? For now, we don't need to think about our ancestors' past, because they have already gone to look for it themselves. As for Chang Shui, small beast is too strong. We are no match for it. So now all we can do is go to the western continent and think of a way to rescue the Sword Emperor and the others. Qin Feiyang said. What about the eastern continent? Madman asked. We are just passers-by in the eastern continent. Whether it's the Rogue Cultivator Alliance or the Demonic Hall, they're just a transitional period for us. Qin Feiyang said. You can't say that. To deal with the Blood Hall, our strength is far from enough. So, we can still rely on the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the Demonic Hall when necessary. Madman shook his head. You mean cooperate with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the Demonic Hall? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Besides, hasn't the Demonic Hall been looking for us? With the help of the Demonic Hall, it will definitely be much easier to deal with the Blood Hall. As for the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, actually, there is also a possibility of cooperation. And this key point is the Vice Alliance leader. The Vice Alliance leader colluded with the Blood Hall. This is a huge taboo. If we can help the Rogue Cultivator Alliance get rid of the Vice Alliance leader, then we can really turn enemies into friends with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. But before that, we have to investigate this Alliance leader. If he also colludes with the Blood Hall, then our situation won't be good. Madman said. Think so too. But now we don't even know where the Alliance leader is. How can we investigate? Qin Feiyang frowned. This matter is really a little strange. Madman rubbed his forehead. Why is it strange? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. To tell you the truth, I have been with the Hall of Famers for the past 2 days. In fact, I have already indirectly asked him about the Alliance leader's situation. But guess who he found out about it? He actually doesn't know where the Alliance leader is. He even said that he couldn't contact the Alliance leader thousands of years ago. Madman said. It can't be. Qin Feiyang had a look of surprise. If it was said that ordinary members of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance couldn't contact the Alliance leader, then it would be reasonable, but the Hall of Famers was the top 3 in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. His position was second only to the Alliance leader. How could he not be able to contact him? Madman asked. Have you asked the Vice Alliance leader? No. I just gained his trust, so I didn't dare to ask too many questions. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then how about this, you find a chance to ask him? I will also go and ask around. I don't believe that such a large Rogue Cultivator Alliance doesn't have anyone who knows the whereabouts of the Alliance leader. Madman said. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and reminded, however, you can't directly ask around, lest you arouse suspicion. Don't worry, I still know this common sense. Madman smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang smiled. With Madman's ability to do things, he could definitely rest assured. Suddenly, he was stunned and patted his head. How could I forget about it? What? Madman was suspicious. The fire dragon we met in the trial ground. Based on the attitude of Yi Tian and the others, it's obvious that its position in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance isn't ordinary. Maybe it knows something? Qin Feiyang said. Yeah. How could I forget about it? Madman also patted his head hard. When Zhao Xiaojin and I came out of the trial ground, this hall master was extremely reserved in front of the fire dragon. I think its position in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance is probably above the Vice Alliance leader and the Hall of Famers, Qin Feiyang analyzed. In that case, it might have a direct relationship with the Alliance leader. Madman was shocked. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded and then said, however, I also heard that after it came out of the trial ground, it disappeared without a trace. Where are we going to find it? Nothing in this world is difficult for those who are willing. I will investigate this matter first. One more thing, Zhao Yong was killed. We have to find another person now. Otherwise, it will be troublesome to leave the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Madman said. I have already thought about this matter. There are a total of 10 people guarding the barrier. We know Interrogation Officer 2. As for the other 9, we are very unfamiliar with them. If we try to persuade them, it will definitely be very troublesome. It might even cause a big mess. Qin Feiyang pondered. Then you mean we should make a move on Interrogation Officer 2? Madman asked. No. Interrogation Officer 2 is the Vice Alliance leader's confidant. We definitely can't look for him. However, I do have a suitable candidate in mind. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Who? Madman was curious. Zhang Dian. That is Zhang Sanbao's father. Now, he is already under my control. If he replaces Interrogation Officer 2 to guard the border, then we don't have to do a lot of things. Qin Feiyang smiled. But this person used to be the city lord of East City. Now that we ask him to guard the border, will he agree? Madman asked. Do you think he still has a choice? Because of Zhang Sanbao and Zhang Santian, as well as the sneak attack on me last time, the Vice Alliance leader and the other higher-ups are already quite dissatisfied with him. If he doesn't listen to my arrangements, I guarantee that he won't live past tomorrow. As for replacing Interrogation Officer 2, that is even simpler. When the time comes, I will just casually say a few words in front of the Vice Alliance leader, and he will be able to take up the position. Qin Feiyang smiled. All right then, I'll leave this matter to you. Madman nodded. But the problem now is that I can't show up. As Black Dragon said, if I show up now, they will definitely ask how I reconstructed my body and soul so quickly. If I don't find a suitable reason, then they will be suspicious when the time comes. Qin Feiyang rubbed his temples. He never thought that there would be a day when the time array of the Black Tortoise realm would make him worry. That is indeed a problem. Madman nodded. At that time, Qin Feiyang was at the Perfection Undead realm. To reconstruct the body and soul of a Perfection Undead realm expert, it would take at least tens of thousands of years or even longer. So now Qin Feiyang would have to wait tens of thousands of years before he could show up. After tens of thousands of years, the daylily would be cold. How about this? When the time comes, you can say that after helping Black Dragon successfully pass the tribulation, you also obtained some good fortune, so your body and soul were reconstructed so quickly. Madman said. Will that work? Qin Feiyang frowned. In any case, these people haven't passed the tribulation. Even if what we say is false, they can't verify it. Besides, everyone's opportunities and good fortune are different. Just because they haven't seen it before doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Madman chuckled. Makes sense. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then nodded with a smile. All right, let's say it like that. All right then, I will first inquire about the whereabouts of the Fire Dragon and the Alliance leader. I will leave Zhang de Yuan's matter to you. After dealing with these matters, we can officially challenge the Blood Hall. Madman's eyes flashed coldly. At the same time, I look forward to our next encounter with the Prince of the Dragons. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Haha. Madman laughed loudly. The two left the Black Tortoise world and appeared in the cave. Madman directly left. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then also left the cave and flew toward the Alliance capital. Isn't that a Mo Fengyuan? He reconstructed his body and soul so quickly. Oh my god, he must have cheated. And his cultivation is also at the half-step ruler realm. As expected, he has successfully comprehended the fifth profound of the law of thunder. This pair of brothers is simply monsters. Qin Feiyang's appearance immediately caused a sensation in the Hall of the Exalted. Chapter 3206. Alliance Capital. Central City District. The Vice Alliance Master sat alone in the pavilion in the courtyard, thinking about something as he drank tea. Swoosh! A figure descended in front of the courtyard. It was Qin Feiyang. Disciple greets Master. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the door and cupped his fists. The vice leader was stunned. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang with a surprised expression. Come in. Qin Feiyang pushed open the courtyard's door and walked into the pavilion, standing in front of the vice leader. The vice leader sized up Qin Feiyang for a moment and said in surprise, You've really reconstructed your physical body and divine soul. How did you do it? So fast? Disciple isn't sure. After I helped Black Dragon overcome his tribulation, a divine light descended from the sky and merged into my body. Then, not long after, my physical body and divine soul were reconstructed. Qin Feiyang said, "There's such a thing? Master has heard that only living beings who undergo tribulation will be blessed by the heavens. I didn't expect that the person who helped to undergo the tribulation would also receive such a fortuitous encounter." The vice leader's face was filled with surprise. It might have something to do with the lightning law I comprehended back then. When I passed the heavenly tribulation and comprehended the lightning law, I was in a mysterious space the entire time. In any case, disciple can't explain it clearly. However, to be able to reconstruct my physical body and divine soul so quickly is indeed a fortuitous encounter. Qin Feiyang rubbed his head and smiled. That's true. The vice leader nodded and didn't probe any further. He smiled and said, "Now that you've officially stepped into the ruler realm, how do you feel?" "Feel pretty good. I've improved in all aspects, far surpassing before." Qin Feiyang smiled. This is the benefit of stepping into the ruler realm. However, don't be complacent. In the Eastern continent, a half-step ruler is at most a mid-tier expert. As long as you become a perfected ruler or even a great perfected ruler, you'll have the ability to move unhindered. The vice leader warned. Disciple will remember. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then why did you come to find Master this time? The vice leader asked with a smile. It's been a few days since I last saw Master. I missed him a little, so I came to pay him a visit. Qin Feiyang grinned. Smelly brat. The vice leader scolded with a smile, but his face was filled with a gratified smile. Qin Feiyang continued, of course, there are also some questions regarding cultivation that I would like to ask Master. Sit down and talk. The vice leader pointed at the stone bench in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang sat on the stone bench and said, Disciple has heard that above the fifth profound, there is a supreme profound and ultimate profound. Is that true? You actually know about this? The vice leader was astonished. It's just hearsay, Qin Feiyang said. The vice leader poured a cup of tea and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Thank you, Master. Qin Feiyang caught the teacup. Above the fifth profound, there is indeed the ultimate profound and the ultimate profound. Moreover, these two profound are extremely terrifying. It's no exaggeration to say that if you comprehend the ultimate profound, even if you're only a half-step sovereign, you can still fight against a peak sovereign. The vice leader took a sip of tea and said with a smile. So strong? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Yes. The vice leader nodded and said, as for the ultimate profound, it's the ultimate profound in the world. As far as Master knows, no one in the sky cloud realm has comprehended the ultimate profound. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be stunned. No one in the entire sky cloud realm has comprehended the ultimate profound? Do you know why our leader is called the number one person in the sky cloud realm in spacetime law? The vice leader asked. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The reason is that he's only one step away from the ultimate profound. The vice leader said. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. The leader of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was actually this powerful? However, although he's only one step away, this one step is the difference between heaven and earth. To successfully take this step is countless times harder than ascending to the heavens. The vice leader shook his head and sighed. Qin Feiyang asked calmly, then is the leader in seclusion right now trying to comprehend the ultimate profound? I'm not sure. The vice leader shook his head. Not sure. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Our leader comes and goes without a trace all day long. No one knows where he is. Master often tries to contact him, but I can't. I don't know where he's enjoying himself. The vice leader's expression was somewhat helpless. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He couldn't contact the Hall of Famers and the vice leader. Why was that? As for the ultimate profound and the ultimate profound, don't force yourself too much. Right now, the most important thing for you is to raise your cultivation level. The vice leader warned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then, he asked curiously, then how many people in our Rogue Cultivator Alliance have comprehended the ultimate profound? Only 3. The vice leader smiled. 3. One is definitely the leader. Could the other 2 be you and the Hall of Famers? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. This is also the reason why the 10 great elders are inferior to us. Although they're all perfect sovereigns, they haven't comprehended the ultimate profound. Therefore, their strength is inferior to ours. However, the strength of these few elders shouldn't be underestimated. Because they've basically all grasped the entrance to the ultimate profound, they're slightly stronger than ordinary perfect sovereigns. The vice leader smiled faintly. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. In short, for you, the ultimate profound should be left to its natural course. If you're lucky enough to enter an epiphany and comprehend the ultimate profound, that's naturally something worth celebrating. However, if you don't force it. After all, the road is paved one step at a time. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Otherwise, you'll end up with nothing. The vice leader warned again. Understood. Qin Feiyang nodded. He picked up his teacup and took a sip. Then, he looked around and asked, where are the 3 Xing brothers? Them? Xingda and Xingsan are both cultivating. Xing'er is still guarding the border. The vice leader smiled. Still guarding the border? Qin Feiyang was astonished. Yes. We haven't found a suitable candidate yet. We can only wrong him to help guard the border for now. The vice leader shook his head. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Wrong Xing'er? For him to say this, it meant that the 3 Xing brothers really meant a lot to the vice leader. Qin Feiyang pretended to ponder for a while. Then his eyes lit up. He looked up at the vice leader and said, Master, I've thought of someone who you can let replace Xing'er. Who? The vice leader was stunned. Zhangdian. Qin Feiyang said. Zhangdian? The vice leader was stunned. He asked, the former city lord of East City who sneaked up on you? Yes. He has the perfected immortal realm cultivation. He's the most suitable person to guard the border. Qin Feiyang nodded. But he sneaked up on you. We can't trust him at all. The vice leader frowned. Master, you worry too much. After so many things, do you think he still dares to mess around? Besides, he's the city lord of East City. Letting him guard the border is also a punishment. Qin Feiyang smiled. So you deliberately took revenge on him. I knew it. How could you be such a magnanimous person? The vice leader shook his head and laughed. Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly. His expression was slightly awkward as he said, regardless of whether it's revenge or magnanimity, in any case, he definitely won't dare to act recklessly now. After all, the higher one's cultivation is, the more they care about their lives. Okay, I'll think about it. By the way, there's one more thing. Since you're here, I'll ask for your opinion. I plan to let Li Fuyuan take over as the city lord of East City. What do you think? The vice leader looked at Qin Feiyang inquiringly. Li Fuyuan? Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before asking. That person who helped disciples chase after Zhang Diyuan. That's right. The vice leader nodded. I've met this person before. And he's trying to get close to me because he wants to be the city lord of East City. Originally, I didn't have a good impression of him. He's too snobbish. But thanks to him, I was able to stop Zhang Diyuan. So, putting everything else aside, this person should be trustworthy. Qin Feiyang said a few words tactfully. Okay, I have an idea. The vice leader smiled and said, go back to the Hall of the Exalted and spend more time with Tian. After all, you're family with us now. You should take care of him. I take care of him? Master, you're wrong. It should be Brother Yi who takes care of me. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Don't play dumb. Who in the Hall of the Exalted doesn't know your talent now? Tianer can't compare to you at all. The vice leader rolled his eyes. Aren't you afraid that I'll become arrogant by praising me like this? Qin Feiyang smiled. With me around, do you think you can become arrogant? The vice leader looked at him teasingly. Forget it. I'd better continue to keep a low profile. Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. In short, help Tianer more in the future. After all, he's my grandson. I also hope that you can support each other like brothers. The vice leader said. Don't worry. As long as I have the ability, I'll do my best to help Brother Yi. Qin Feiyang said solemnly. Good. Then why don't you stay and have a meal before leaving? The vice leader asked. Forget it. You're so high and mighty. How can you cook? After Qin Feiyang said that, he got up and left. Brat, are you doubting my cooking skills? Let me tell you, when I was young, I was also good in the kitchen. The vice leader stared at Qin Feiyong angrily. Who saw it? You're bragging. Qin Feiyong chuckled without looking back and disappeared like a flash of lightning. Bastard! The vice leader shook his head and scolded with a smile. The more he looked at this disciple, the more satisfied he was. After Qin Feiyong left the central city, he landed on a mountain peak. After pondering for a while, his eyes flashed and he took out the divine voice stone. Buzz! A shadow appeared. It was Zhang Diyuan. Get ready to replace Second Xing and guard the barrier. Qin Feiyong said. Guard the barrier? Zhang Diyuan was stunned. Qin Feiyong nodded. Yes, this is my arrangement. Don't ask why, just do it. But Zhang Diyuan obviously didn't want to go. Chapter 3207. No buts. If you don't listen, I will go to master now. You know what the consequences will be. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with a cold light. No, I will listen. Zhang Diyuan hurriedly agreed. Qin Feiyong's expression eased a lot, and he asked, I asked you to collect the spirit vein and crystal vein. How much have you collected so far? Not much. After all, to collect the spirit vein and crystal vein, you have to leave the Azure Wave Snow Mountain. Zhang Diyuan shook his head. Don't you have ready-made ones in the Alliance? Qin Feiyong frowned. The Alliance does have ready-made ones, but who is willing to give them to me? You also know that for those below the Sovereign Realm, Spirit Vein and Crystal Vein are indispensable. So, I can only send people to look outside. Zhang Diyuan said. Okay, but you have to remember that your men are not allowed to rob outside. Qin Feiyong said with a cold face. Understood. Zhang Diyuan nodded repeatedly. After turning off the sound transmission stone, Zhang Diyuan found that his back was already dripping with cold sweat. Although Qin Feiyong's cultivation was much lower than his, when he faced Qin Feiyong, it was as if he was facing a mountain. There was a heavy sense of oppression. Half a month later, Madman finally returned. Inside the cave, the two sat opposite each other. How is it? Qin Feiyong poured a cup of tea for Madman. Madman moistened his throat and shook his head. I have inquired about the Hall of the Exalted, including the 4 major districts of the Alliance, but there is no trace of the Alliance Master. What happened? I went to find the Deputy Alliance Master, but he also said that he couldn't contact the Alliance Master. Qin Feiyong frowned. Do you think something happened to the Alliance Master? Madman was surprised. How is that possible? The strength of the Alliance Master is quite terrifying. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Although the whereabouts of the Alliance Master have not been found, the whereabouts of the Fire Dragon are a little known. Madman said again. Where is it? Qin Feiyong hurriedly asked. According to my sources, it seems that someone saw it leaving the Azure Wave Snow Mountain from the north. However, I didn't manage to find out exactly where he went. Madman shook his head. Left the Kanglan Snow Mountain? Qin Feiyong frowned, pondered for a while and said, It seems that the investigation strength of the two of us is far from enough. We still need help. After saying that, Qin Feiyong brought Madman to the Black Tortoise world and directly sent a message to Elder Hua. Is the Alliance Master not in the Alliance capital? Elder Hua was also surprised when he heard their pleas. Based on our current investigation, he shouldn't be in the Alliance capital. Qin Feiyong said. Alright, I'll get Chu Yun to investigate. Elder Hua nodded. Wait. Seeing that Elder Hua was about to turn off the divine sound transmission stone, Qin Feiyong hurriedly stopped him and said, Also, there's one more thing that I think you should know. What is it? Elder Hua looked at him suspiciously. Do you know its identity in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and a giant python appeared. This was the fire dragon's previous body. Elder Hua was startled and asked, You've seen it before? Yes. Furthermore, we even helped it pass its tribulation and transformed into the fire dragon. Qin Feiyong nodded. Then go and find it. It definitely knows the whereabouts of the Alliance Master. Elder Hua said. It's also gone now. We can't find it. Wait, from what you said, you know its identity. Qin Feiyong and Madman were surprised. Of course I know. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance's Alliance Master has two very powerful pythons. These two pythons are a couple, and their strength is second only to the Alliance Master in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Elder Hua said in a deep voice. Second only to the Alliance Master? Then aren't they stronger than the Vice Alliance Master and the Hall of Famers? Qin Feiyang was shocked. It's not that they're stronger than them, but they're not weaker either. They both have grasped a supreme profundity. And the fire dragon you're talking about is the child of these two pythons. Hence, its status in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance is relatively high. Therefore, I'm guessing that it definitely knows the whereabouts of the Alliance Master. Elder Hua explained. I see. Qin Feiyang and Madman were enlightened. Since it's gone, there's nothing we can do. How about this? You guys stay in the Alliance capital and wait for it to appear. Immediately find a chance to ask it. At the same time, I'll also ask Chu Yun to send someone to look for them outside. Elder Hua suggested. Alright, let's do that. Qin Feiyang nodded. Alright, I've also thought of something. I wonder if you guys have heard about it in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? Elder Hua suddenly said. What is it? Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at him suspiciously. A few days ago, someone from the Blood Hall sent a letter of challenge. Elder Hua said. A letter of challenge? The two of them were stunned. Yes. Elder Hua nodded and said. The general content is that the Blood Hall of the Western Land, the Demon Hall of the Eastern Land, the Sky Hall of the Southern Land, and the Deity Hall of the Northern Land are organizing an exchange meeting for the younger generation. Exchange meeting? Qin Feiyang and Madman were stunned. Don't think that this exchange meeting is just a simple chat and drinking tea. On the surface, it's an exchange meeting, but it's actually a battle between the four super forces, Elder Hua said. In other words, this is a spar? Qin Feiyang asked. Isn't the way you put it? This is a fierce battle. Moreover, according to my analysis, this matter. Speaking up to this point, Elder Hua looked at the two of them strangely and said, is directed at you guys. Directed at us? The two of them looked at each other. Yes. Because this so-called exchange meeting has never happened before. However, this time I just spread the news that you guys have secretly entered the Demon Hall, and the Blood Hall did this. Is there such a coincidence in this world? Moreover, I know the faces of those people from the Blood Hall very well. If they don't have a motive, they won't go through so much trouble. Therefore, this matter is definitely directed at you guys. They want to use this exchange meeting as an opportunity to get rid of you guys. Elder Hua chuckled. Then why are you still laughing? Qin Feiyang was speechless. This matter has nothing to do with me. Why can't I laugh? Moreover, as expected, they will definitely come up with various restrictions during the exchange meeting, such as your slaughter domain and sovereign divine weapon. Elder Hua looked at the two of them gloatingly. So what? We're not even in the Demon Hall. Madman pursed his lips. However, the key is that the Rogue Cultivator Alliance is also involved. Elder Hua said again. What? The Rogue Cultivator Alliance is also involved. Why don't we know about this? The two of them frowned. This exchange meeting is still in the process of being discussed, so there hasn't been any news yet. Elder Hua smiled faintly. Qin Feiyang asked, in that case, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance will most likely let the two of us participate? This will depend on the decision of the Deputy Alliance Leader and the Hall of Famers. I'm telling you guys first so that you can be mentally prepared. Elder Hua said. The Sky Hall and Deity Hall aren't stupid. They definitely know the purpose of the Blood Hall, so why would they still interfere? Qin Feiyang frowned. Of course they're not stupid, but they're also very interested in you guys. As for whether they're friends or foes, I don't know. Elder Hua shook his head. Alright, we'll pay attention. The current mission is still to find the Alliance Leader and the Fire Dragon. Qin Feiyang said. Elder Hua nodded his head. And the projection dissipated. Exchange meeting. Madman lowered his head and pondered for a while before looking at Qin Feiyang and asking, what do you think of this matter? I think Elder Hua's analysis is right. The Blood Hall is really targeting us. However, we're in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, so there's no need to worry too much. Besides, the Deputy Alliance Leader and the Lord of the Hall of the Exalted may not let us participate. After all, our cultivation is still far from that of the older disciples. Qin Feiyang pondered. They're really persistent. But haven't they thought that even if we're in the demonic hall, we can just not participate? Madman sneered. If that's the case, they will definitely think of ways to force us to participate. For example, the reward. The person who gets first place will be rewarded with the supreme treasure. Can you resist this temptation? Qin Feiyang chuckled. If I didn't know their purpose, I definitely couldn't resist it. But now that I know, it's a different story. Madman smiled sinisterly. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Maybe they have some trump cards. At that time, we'll have to participate even if we don't want to. In short, we can't have too much luck with the Blood Hall's style. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He had a strong premonition that this matter wouldn't be so simple. Chapter 3208. In just a few days, Zhang Diyuan took office. Naturally, the token to open the barrier had also fallen into his hands. For Qin Feiyang and the madman, this undoubtedly meant that they had one less worry. A few more days passed. Li Fuyuan finally received the order to succeed the East City Lord. This made him overjoyed. On the same day, he sent a voice transmission to Li Yuandao, asking Li Yuandao to invite Qin Feiyang to his house as a guest and prepare a big gift to express his gratitude. However, Qin Feiyang used the excuse of going into seclusion to politely refuse. This was because a snobbish person like Li Fuyuan could be contacted, but it was better to have as little contact as possible. Another half a month passed. Qin Feiyang finally received a message from Elder Hua. How's the investigation going? Qin Feiyang asked. Elder Hua shook his head and smiled. You don't know how mysterious this matter is. Mysterious? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This old man didn't find the whereabouts of the alliance leader, but this fire dragon. At this point, Elder Hua's expression became incomparably strange, and he said, It's currently in our demon palace. What? In your demon palace? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why would the fire dragon go to the demon palace? Back then, didn't you ask me to help you investigate? In the end, what a coincidence. That girl Chu Yun found a sneaky fire dragon outside the demon palace. Chu Yun caught it and asked. It was the fire dragon you mentioned. Elder Hua said. Sneaky? Why did it sneak to your demon palace? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. We asked, but it would rather die than say anything. Elder Hua shook his head. His cultivation wasn't much, but his bones were quite tough. Then where is it now? Qin Feiyang asked. It's locked up with Chu Yun. Elder Hua smiled. Then what do you want to do with it? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. What do you think? Elder Hua asked. You're the ones who caught it. I don't have the right to decide. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Stop pretending. According to the relationship between our Devil Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, we should have killed it. Because even if we kill it, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance will have nothing to say. After all, it was the one who barged into the Devil Palace. However, this old man knows that you're also interested in it. That's why I kept it. Elder Hua said. All right. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and nodded. I admit that I am indeed interested in it because I really want to know why it would take such a huge risk to go to your demon palace. This old man wants to know too. Elder Hua pondered for a moment and said, How about this? I'll give it to you when you have the time. Wait a moment. I have to come up with a plan for this. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and then lowered his head to ponder. What's there to plan? Elder Hua was bewildered. Based on its status in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, I'm definitely unable to take control of it by force. Otherwise, I'll definitely be the one to suffer losses. So, I have to look for an opportunity to gain its trust. So long as I'm able to gain its trust, then it'll naturally tell me the reason. Qin Feiyang smiled. Is that so? Elder Hua came to a sudden understanding and nodded. All right. I got it. Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly lit up, and he smiled. You'll pretend to execute it in public so that you can make an example out of it. After that, I'll seize the opportunity to rescue it from all of you. Kid, you really have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. Elder Hua roared with laughter, and then he thought for a moment and said, Then let's go to Ocean of Cloud City. However, you have to be prepared because the members of our Devil Hall won't show mercy to you. Of course. Acting has to be realistic. Qin Feiyong grinned. You're really confident. All right, we'll do as you say. I'll get the law enforcers to take it to Ocean of Cloud City, and the execution will be held at the square at the center of the city. Elder Hua spoke. All right. Qin Feiyong nodded, and then he suddenly asked, right, have you found those 2 spies I told you about? Of course. But we didn't alert them. Elder Hua chuckled. Who are they? Qin Feiyong was curious. That's none of your business. Elder Hua shook his head. Qin Feiyong laughed bitterly. I won't tell anyone. This matter is a great humiliation to our Devil Hall. So, the fewer people who know about it, the better. Let's get down to business. Elder Hua's projection vanished as soon as he finished speaking. Qin Feiyong shook his head helplessly. But it was indeed so. The dignified overlord of the Eastern continent actually had an elder who was a spy from the Independent Cultivator Alliance. If news of this were to spread, the Devil Hall would definitely be ridiculed. Qin Feiyong put the transmission stone away and walked out of the castle. He stood in the main hall and gazed at one of the cultivation rooms before he smiled. Senior brother, you've come out. Time to get down to business. Bang! The stone door opened and then Madman walked out and asked, is there any news? Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and said, we'll talk on the way. Both of them left the castle and appeared within the abode. Qin Feiyong pondered deeply for a short while before he walked out of the abode and arrived before the abode. Little Jean, are you there? It didn't take long. The energy of the laws that sealed the abode vanished, and then 2 figures walked out. It was Zhao Xiaojin and the green-clothed woman. What? I'm telling you not to have any improper thoughts about little Jean. The green-clothed woman gazed coldly at them. Big Sister Dandan. Zhao Xiaojin couldn't help but blush when she heard this. As for Qin Feiyong and Madman, they chose to ignore her. Qin Feiyong looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said with a smile, let's go. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. Where are we going? Didn't you say so? You want us to accompany you back to pay respects to your parents and brother? Qin Feiyong said. At the same time, he gave Zhao Xiaojin a meaningful glance. Pay respects to my parents and brother? Did I say that? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned, but when she noticed Qin Feiyong's gaze, she slapped her head and nodded. Yes, yes, yes. Look at me. I was so engrossed in my cultivation that I almost forgot about it. Let's go then. Qin Feiyong smiled. All right. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Xiaojin, wait a moment. Why don't I accompany you? I'm worried if they accompany you. The green-clothed woman hurriedly stopped Zhao Xiaojin and whispered, what's there to be worried about? Don't tell me they'll eat me? Zhao Xiaojin was speechless. That might not be the case. The green-clothed woman snorted coldly, guarding against Qin Feiyong as if she was guarding against thieves. Sister Dandan, you're thinking too much. They're all good people, it's fine. Cultivate well, I'll be back soon. Zhao Xiaojin comforted her. Then looked at Qin Feiyong and laughed. Let's go. Whiz. That moment, the 3 of them soared into the air and flew towards the Alliance capital. Madman asked suspiciously, Zhao Xiaojin, is that woman crazy? Why is she always targeting us? Sister Dandan is actually quite a good person. It's just that her pride is too strong and she can't tolerate others ignoring her. As for the 2 of you, every time you see her, you treat her like air. You must feel uncomfortable. Zhao Xiaojin shook her head and laughed. To put it bluntly, it's the temper of a young miss. Madman looked down on her. She's a young miss to begin with. It's normal for her to have such a temper. There's no need to pay attention to her. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and smiled. Qin Dage, brother Amo, what the hell are you doing? I don't remember asking you to accompany me back. Zhao Xiaojin looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyong and Madman. I don't know either. Ask him. Madman pointed at Qin Feiyong. Zhao Xiaojin looked at Qin Feiyong. The situation is like this. Qin Feiyong briefly explained the matter of the fire dragon. Zhao Xiaojin knew their identities, so she didn't have to worry about anything. What does that have to do with me? Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin asked suspiciously. This is just in case. Because think about it, when the Demon Palace executed the fire dragon, senior brother Madman and I happened to be there. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? So I thought of letting you go with us. This way, if someone asks, We can say that we're accompanying you back to pay respects and happen to encounter this matter. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. You're really thoughtful. Zhao Xiaojin's face was full of admiration. After all, in such a situation we have to be careful at every step. Qin Feiyang sighed. Then how's the investigation going? Zhao Xiaojin was curious. You want to know? Qin Feiyang asked. If you're willing to say, I'll listen. If you don't want to say, just pretend that I didn't ask. Zhao Xiaojin giggled. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh and transmitted his voice. The matter has been investigated. The deputy leader is indeed colluding with the blood hall. What? Zhao Xiaojin's body stiffened. Don't doubt it. I have ironclad evidence in my hands now. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. What about brother Yi Tian? Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly asked. Yi Tian has nothing to do with this. Qin Feiyang shook his head. What should we do? If brother Yi Tian knows the truth, how can he bear it? Zhao Xiaojin's face was full of worry. Everyone needs a process of growth, and Yi Tian is no exception. Therefore, he has to face what he has to face. We can't help him with this matter. He can only bear it himself. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Why is the deputy leader so muddle-headed? Doesn't he know that colluding with the blood hall will not only harm himself but also cause brother Yi Tian irreparable harm? Zhao Xiaojin's face was full of anger. People who are blinded by greed have no rationality. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Wait, old Qin, this elder Hua said that he won't show mercy to us. If only the three of us go, won't it feel like we're sending ourselves to death? Madman suddenly frowned. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and nodded. It does feel like we're sending ourselves to death. Seems like we have to call Black Dragon and Hulwan. With their help, it shouldn't be a big problem. What about them? Madman asked. I don't know either. We have to look for them. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Buzz. Before he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang's voice transmission stone suddenly vibrated. Qin Feiyang's eyes had a trace of suspicion. He took out the voice transmission stone and a figure quickly appeared. Li Yuandao? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Brother Amo, you're not in the cave? Looking at Zhao Xiaojin and Madman beside him, Li Yuandao couldn't help but be stunned. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. No, I have to go out for something. Do you have something to do? If your father wants to invite me, wait until I return. Chapter 3209. My father is indeed looking for you, but it's not to invite you over as a guest, but to ask for your help. Li Yuandao's expression was filled with helplessness. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. You probably don't know yet, but the Black Dragon and Fire Luan by your side have been causing a ruckus in the East City these few days. My father has no choice but to ask for your help. Li Yuandao sighed. What? Qin Feiyang was startled. I knew it, you definitely don't know about this. Li Yuandao shook his head. What are they causing a ruckus about? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Actually, it's not that big of a ruckus. It's just that they like to go to restaurants to drink, and when they're drinking they don't like to be disturbed. So whenever they go to a restaurant, they will chase the people inside out. Think about it, a restaurant is a place to do business. If they cause such a ruckus, how can others do business? So now, all the restaurant owners are looking for my father to solve this matter. Li Yuandao shook his head. Is that so? Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. The Black Dragon and Fire Luan are both related to you, so my father can't offend them, so he can only ask for your help. Li Yuandao sighed. Then which restaurant are they in now? Qin Feiyang asked. I heard from my father that they're in the Fengchan restaurant. Li Yuandao replied. Fengchan restaurant? Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin were stunned. Wasn't that a famous brothel in the East City? Their conflict with Feng Wanyun was caused by this Fengchan restaurant. These two fellows have such a hobby? Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. Anyway, you should quickly take them away, lest they cause public anger. Li Yuandao smiled bitterly. All right. We'll go now. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned off the voice transmission stone. He helplessly looked at Madman and said, Seems like these two aren't good people either. Obviously. Madman shrugged his shoulders. Let's go. We have to pass by the Alliance capital anyway. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. Fengshan Restaurant. At this moment, all the guests, including the brothel keeper and waiters, were standing outside the door, their faces full of indignation. Within the restaurant's main hall, there was a 1-meter-long black dragon and a rooster-like bird sitting on a chair. There was a group of women around them, and they were all the Wind Dust Pavilion's Wind Moon women. At this moment, all the women surrounded the black dragon and the chick, occasionally feeding them a piece of fruit or holding a wine cup to their mouths. They looked like they were serving two masters. Without a doubt, these two beasts were the black dragon and the fire Luan. Zhe. Oh, Emoyuan. The brothel keeper looked at Qin Feiyong as if she had seen her savior. The others finally heaved a sigh of relief. The main character had finally arrived. Shoo! Qin Feiyong made a shushing gesture to the group of people, and then silently walked into the main hall. The black dragon and the fire Luan were enjoying themselves. They did not notice Qin Feiyong at all. The women noticed, but under Qin Feiyong's hint, they did not make a sound. Qin Feiyong walked over. Seeing them sitting on the chair with a satisfied expression, his face could not help but darken. Birdmaster, Dragonmaster, do you want me to massage your shoulders and legs? Qin Feiyong asked. Sure. The two beasts replied without hesitation. But as soon as they finished speaking, they realized something was wrong. This voice, immediately. The two beasts quivered and stood up to look at Qin Feiyong. You both know how to enjoy yourself. Qin Feiyong laughed. No. The black dragon hurriedly waved its claws and laughed dryly. That. Do you want a drink too? Come to your second uncle. Qin Feiyong's veins bulged, and directly gave the two beasts a knock on the head, and said angrily, Look at you guys now, what's the difference between you and those human playboys? This cough, bro, give me some face. The black dragon laughed awkwardly. You still know how to say face? Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes and said, Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? Let's go. It's just a drink, how embarrassing can it be? The black dragon and the fire Luan complained and helplessly got up and followed Qin Feiyong outside. The women finally heaved a sigh of relief. Young Master Emo, thank you. The brothel keeper stepped forward and was extremely grateful. It's fine. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, then looked at the people around him and cupped his hands. Everyone, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you. Don't worry, I will definitely restrain them in the future. Actually, it's not a big deal, young Master Emo doesn't have to take it to heart. Of course, this was just polite words. Because Qin Feiyong was now the disciple of the Vice Alliance leader. Who would dare to offend him? Qin Feiyong smiled slightly, then looked at the two beasts and said, Let's go. Shua. That moment, the three men and two beasts soared into the air and flew towards the border. I say, two big brothers, is wine that good to drink? After leaving the Alliance capital, Qin Feiyong looked helplessly at the black dragon and the fire Luan. You're a human, why are you asking us? The black dragon was stunned. I don't drink, so I don't know what's so good about wine. Qin Feiyong said. So it's like that? Then you're really a weirdo. The black dragon despised. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. Not drinking is a weirdo? What kind of logic is that? Fine, if you want to drink I won't object, but you can't mess around. Do you know what kind of effect this will bring to me? Others will definitely scold me behind my back, saying that I'm indulging you and protecting you. I'm the disciple of the Vice Alliance leader. Can't you leave me some face? Also, don't you dislike being disturbed by others? Why are you letting a group of prostitutes serve you when you're in the Fengshan Tower? Qin Feiyong looked at them with disdain. Cough. It's just a feeling, you human women are quite interesting. The black dragon laughed embarrassedly. Scram. In short, don't use my name to act like a tyrant outside. I don't want others to point fingers at me behind my back. Qin Feiyong said. Fine, we'll be careful next time. The black dragon nodded repeatedly. Qin Feiyong felt helpless. It seemed that he had to make a trip to the Heavenly Pleasure Tower to get some wine, otherwise, who knew what kind of trouble these two fellows would cause in the future. Under the black dragon's lead, they quickly arrived at the border and met with Zhang Deyuan. When he saw Qin Feiyong again, Zhang Deyuan was like a little wife who had been wronged, causing Qin Feiyong to have goosebumps all over his body. Didn't he just ask him to guard the barrier? Was there a need to be so wronged? Cloudsea City. It was bustling as always. Since his reason for coming out was to accompany Zhao Xiaojin home to pay her respects, he naturally had to make a trip to the Zhao family. In front of the Zhao family's gate, Zhao Xiaojin, Qin Feiyang, and the Black Dragon appeared out of thin air. As for Madman and Huoluan, Qin Feiyang sent them to the Heavenly Pleasure Tower. Not only did the Heavenly Pleasure Tower produce their own immortal intoxication, but they also had Heavenly Mountain Dew and other fine wines that would definitely satisfy Huoluan and the Black Dragon. Young miss. The guards at the Zhao family's gate were stunned when they saw Zhao Xiaojin suddenly return. What? Am I not welcome? Zhao Xiaojin said with a cold expression. Welcome, welcome. Young miss, please come in. The guards repeatedly nodded. Upon entering the Zhao family, Qin Feiyang clearly noticed that the number of guards and servants in the Zhao family had decreased, and all of them had worried expressions. Besides that, the once majestic Zhao family was now covered in withered leaves, and weeds were growing out of the cracks in the stones. It was obvious that they hadn't been cleared out in a long time. But when they saw Zhao Xiaojin return, a sliver of hope burned in the eyes of the Zhao family's guards and servants. Cousin. Very soon, a young man in his 20s ran over with a few servants following behind him. Zhao Feng? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. Cousin, you finally returned. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Greetings, young Mississippi. The group of servants were also overjoyed. He is? Qin Feiyang was confused. He's one of my uncle's sons. His name is Zhao Feng. Zhao Xiaojin messaged to explain, and then she coldly looked at Zhao Feng and indifferently said, Don't think too much. I only came back to pay respects to my parents and little brother. After saying this, she left. Cousin. Zhao Feng's expression froze as he hurriedly knelt on the ground and called out, Cousin. Please save our Zhao family. Zhao Xiaojin's eyebrows furrowed. Father is dead, second uncle is dead, and the guards and servants have all run away. There are less than 50 people left in the Zhao family. The Zhao family doesn't even have a single person who can make decisions. If you don't do anything, our Zhao family will be destroyed sooner or later. Zhao Feng called out. That's what you asked for. Zhao Xiaojin thought for a while before saying indifferently, Yes, it's all my father and second uncle's fault, but they paid the price for it. Mo Yuanyuan was there, and a person called Xing San killed them with his own hands, and our Zhao family's soul and crystal veins were also taken by that Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. But now we don't hate anyone. We just hope that you can come back and revive our Zhao family. Zhao Feng said. I've already said that I have nothing to do with the Zhao family. You should go find someone else. Zhao Xiaojin shook her head. The things that Zhao Yunhai and Zhao Yuntian had done had made her completely give up. Thus, no matter what happened to the Zhao family, she would not help them. Zhao Feng couldn't help but despair. At this moment, a guard hurriedly ran in and called out to Zhao Feng. Young master, something big has happened. But before he could finish, the guard noticed Zhao Xiaojin. After a moment of surprise, he became ecstatic and bowed. Greetings, young Mississippi, what's the big deal? Zhao Xiaojin looked suspiciously at him. It's like this. Not long ago, the enforcers of the Demon Palace brought a fire dragon to the square in the center of the city, and announced that this fire dragon was from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. He trespassed on the Demon Palace and was captured by the Demon Palace. Now, he will be executed on the spot. The guard hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin glanced at each other, a sharp light flashing through their eyes. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.